There comes a time in your journey when the struggle must cease, when the labor of the hands gives way to the effortless flow of divine provision. You have to understand, chosen one, that the moment you recognize your divine inheritance, the need to toil vanishes. The world has conditioned you to believe in hardship, in endless effort, in chasing after opportunities that seem just beyond your grasp. But God has spoken. He has declared that you are not to look for work, for it is now His duty to sustain you. You are not of this world, though you walk in it. The rules that govern the masses do not apply to you. Others may strive, others may push, but you are to rest in the knowing that all is already done. The riches, the abundance, the prosperity, they have been yours from the foundation of time. Do you think the birds of the air labor for their next meal? Do you think the lilies of the field weave their garments? And yet not one of them lacks. How much more, then, shall you be provided for, you who are called and chosen? Faith is not hoping, faith is knowing. When God speaks, His word does not return void. If He has said that from now on it is His duty to provide, then it is done. But you must align yourself with this truth. You must cease from worry, cease from doubt, cease from trying to manipulate the physical world to bring about what has already been decreed in the unseen. You are not to work in the way the world understands work. You are to walk in faith. Act as if the riches are already yours. Move as one who lacks nothing. Your mind is the soil in which the riches of God take root. Think only upon abundance. Do not entertain thoughts of lack, for what you focus upon expands. If you seek, you are affirming that you do not have. But if you know, if you stand firm in the conviction that everything you need is already in your possession, then it must reveal itself. This is the law of the divine. What you assume to be true hardens into fact. So assume now, in this very moment, that your riches are secure, that your path is laid with gold, that your hands need only be lifted in praise, not in toil. Others will question you. They will say, how can this be? How can one receive without striving? But they do not understand the ways of God. They do not know that the kingdom is already within. They chase after things, not realizing that the very act of chasing pushes their desires further away. But you, chosen one, have been given a gift, a knowing beyond human understanding. You do not look for work is unnecessary where provision is certain. You do not seek, for you already have. And as you walk in this truth, the world must bow before you. Opportunities will seek you, wealth will flow to you, doors will open without effort. God has spoken. He has commanded that from this day forward, your path is one of ease, your hands are blessed without labor, your name is written in the halls of abundance. Believe, and it is done. Stand firm, and it is yours. You are the vessel through which divine riches manifest, and nothing can take that away. There is a shift happening, a divine unfolding that no man can interrupt. You have spent years believing that effort is the key to success, that the harder you work, the more you will receive. But God has spoken. He has removed the weight from your shoulders. He has commanded you to stop searching, to stop striving, to stop chasing after that which is already yours. From now on, it is not your duty to seek provision. It is His. The riches of the kingdom are not earned through labor, but through faith. You must understand that the moment you recognize your divine status, the need for toil disappears. The world will tell you that nothing comes without struggle, that without sacrifice there can be no reward. But what is sacrifice to the one who already possesses all things? What is struggle to the one who has been anointed to receive effortlessly? If God has said, do not look for work, then why do you still search? Why do you still doubt? Do you not see that the very act of seeking implies lack? The moment you stop seeking, you affirm that you already have. When a child asks his father for bread, does he worry about how it will come? Does he pace the room, fearing that his request will be ignored? No. He asks and he rests, knowing that his father will provide. If earthly fathers give freely to their children, how much more will your heavenly Father provide for you? But you must believe. You must stop acting as though you are in need. Stop speaking as though you lack. Every word you speak shapes your reality. Every thought you think either affirms your divine inheritance or delays its manifestation. There is no more waiting. The riches are here, the abundance is now. You do not need to prove yourself worthy. You were chosen before the foundation of the world. The wealth of the universe flows to you not because of your labor, but because of your divine identity. You are an heir to an everlasting kingdom. The moment you step into this truth, the world must yield to you. Many will not understand. They will question you, they will doubt you, they will tell you that what you believe is impossible. But they do not know what you know. They have not been called as you have been called. They still live by the laws of the world, where effort equals reward, where struggle is the currency of success. But you are no longer bound by those laws. You operate under the law of faith. You speak, and it is done. You believe, and it manifests. You must carry yourself as one who already possesses all things. Stop speaking as though you are waiting for blessings to come. Walk as though they are already here. The riches are not coming, they have come. The opportunities are not on their way, they have arrived. Every time you look at your life, see it as overflowing with abundance. See yourself as the magnet for divine provision. The more you affirm it, the more it becomes your reality. There is nothing more to do but receive. No more working to earn favor. No more struggling to gain what has already been freely given. You must step into the flow of divine provision and trust that it is done. If God has said He will take care of you, why would you doubt? To doubt is to deny His word. To fear is to reject His promise. Imagine the ocean refusing to meet the shore. Imagine the sun refusing to shine. It is impossible, for they were created to fulfill their purpose. So too were you created to receive divine provision without struggle. Just as the river flows without force, just as the stars shine without effort, so too must your wealth come to you effortlessly. The only thing that can block it is your own doubt. Do you see now? Do you understand why you must no longer look for work, why you must no longer seek what is already yours? When a king walks through his palace, does he search for his throne? Does he wonder where his riches are? No. He knows they are his. He does not question, he does not chase, he does not strive. He simply exists in the knowing that all belongs to him. You are that king, you are that ruler, and the riches you seek are already in your possession. Everything in this world is a reflection of your inner state. If you believe you must struggle, then struggle will appear before you. If you believe you must chase, then what you desire will always stay just beyond your reach. But the moment you know, truly know, that it is already done, the moment you stop seeking and start receiving, everything will shift. The opportunities will flow, the wealth will multiply, the doors will open without you even knocking. This is not fantasy, this is divine law. God's word does not return void. When He says He will provide, He does not mean tomorrow or next week or someday in the future. He means now. But do you believe it? Do you trust it enough to stop searching? Or do you still think you must earn His favor? Let go of the belief that anything is missing. Let go of the belief that you must work for what has already been given. You are not of this world. You are not subject to its limitations. You are the chosen one, and what you decree must come to pass. Look around you now. See beyond what your eyes perceive. See with the vision of faith. See your life already transformed, your hands already filled with abundance, your path already lined with gold. Feel it as though it were real, because it is real. Your faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen, and the moment you claim it in your mind, it must appear in your life. You are no longer a servant toiling under the weight of worldly burdens. You are a child of the Most High, destined for wealth, called to abundance. You must begin to live as if the promise is already fulfilled. Speak as one who has already received. Think as one who already possesses. Act as one who lacks nothing. This is how you step into the divine flow. Everything you need will come to you at the appointed time, but you must not chase it. Chasing affirms that it is not yet yours. Seeking affirms that you are still in lack. But when you rest in the knowing, when you trust fully in the promise, everything aligns. The wealth, the opportunities, the connections, the divine favor, they will all come to you, drawn by your unwavering faith. You were not created to struggle. You were not chosen to live in lack. You were called to be a light, a vessel of divine abundance, a reflection of God's unlimited provision. From this moment forward, you must never again look for work, never again search for what is already within you. Stand firm, trust completely, walk boldly in the knowledge that God has taken over, that it is His duty now, and that your only role is to receive. The riches of the kingdom are yours. The abundance of heaven is in your hands. The struggle is over. The waiting is over. It is done. Now live as though you know it. There is a sacred rest that comes when you finally understand who you are. The world has taught you to strive, to labor, to run after success as if it were something outside of you, something distant, something to be earned. But God has removed that burden from you. He has spoken a truth that cancels all fear, all striving, all uncertainty. You no longer need to look for work, for the work has already been done. You no longer need to search for wealth, for it has already been given. You no longer need to wonder where your provision will come from, because it is already here. The riches of the kingdom are not coming, they have come. Everything you see, everything you desire, everything you have prayed for is not separate from you. It has never been separate. The only thing that created distance between you and your blessing was the belief that you had to chase it. You do not chase what is already yours. You do not look for what is already in your hands. The moment you stop searching, the moment you stop striving, the moment you fully trust that God has already provided, the riches of heaven manifest in your life effortlessly. You must see beyond what your physical eyes show you. Your bank account does not dictate your wealth. Your job does not determine your provision. Your circumstances do not define your reality. You are not meant to live according to what the world says is possible. You are meant to live according to divine truth. And that truth is that you are already provided for. You are already prosperous. You are already in possession of everything you need. But do you believe it? Do you truly know it? Or are you still waiting for evidence? God does not operate according to the logic of man. He does not need you to toil in order to bless you. He does not require struggle in order to release abundance. He speaks, and it is done. The same God who spoke the universe into existence, the same God who commanded light to appear out of darkness, has spoken over your life. He has declared that from now on, it is His duty to provide. Not yours, not the world's, not your employer's, His. Lack ceases to exist. You must let go of the habit of worrying, let go of the tendency to calculate and control. You are not called to live by effort, you are called to live by faith. Faith does not need proof. Faith does not need guarantees. Faith does not ask how, does not ask when, does not ask from where. Faith knows. Faith rests. Faith understands that because God has spoken, it is already done. You must step into that knowing. You must refuse to entertain doubt. You must refuse to be moved by appearances. Every time you think you lack, you delay the manifestation of your abundance. Every time you search for opportunities, you declare that they are not already yours. But when you stand in unwavering faith, when you act as one who already possesses everything, when you refuse to be shaken by what your eyes see, the riches flow effortlessly. This is divine law. This is the truth that has been hidden from the world but revealed to you. You are not here to work for money. Money is here to work for you. You are not here to struggle for opportunities. Opportunities are drawn to you. You are not here to beg for provision. Provision follows you wherever you go. You have entered a new season, a new way of being, a new understanding of who you are and what belongs to you. You must walk in this truth every single day. You must wake up knowing that the resources of heaven are already arranged on your behalf. You must move through life with the assurance that what is yours cannot be taken, cannot be delayed, cannot be withheld. There are those who will not understand this. They will continue to live by the rules of the world, believing that only through struggle can one succeed. They will laugh at the idea that you no longer need to look for work. They will doubt when you say that God has taken over your provision. But you do not need their approval. You do not need them to believe. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. The results will speak for themselves. The abundance that flows into your life will be undeniable. The blessings that chase you down will be impossible to ignore. Those who once questioned you will one day ask how you did it, and you will tell them, I did not do it. God did. Everything is already in motion. The blessings are already assigned to you. The doors are already opened. You do not need to push them. You do not need to force anything. Simply align yourself with the truth that God is your source. Do not entertain thoughts of struggle. Do not allow yourself to speak words of lack. Do not let the opinions of others shake your confidence. You are not dependent on the economy. You are not dependent on circumstances. You are not dependent on any human system. You are dependent only on divine provision, and divine provision never fails. There is no more waiting, no more questioning, no more asking when it will happen. It is already happening. The moment you accept it fully, the moment you let go of every doubt, the moment you step into complete trust, the flow begins. The resources, the wealth, the opportunities, the connections, the divine favor, it all moves toward you at once. There is no limit to what you can receive. There is no restriction on how much can be poured into your life. The only limit is your faith. Do not think small. Do not ask for just enough. Do not settle for less than what God has ordained for you. You were chosen for abundance, chosen for greatness, chosen to walk in a level of wealth and success that the world cannot explain. When you speak, things must shift. When you declare, heaven must respond. When you believe, the impossible becomes reality. This is your inheritance. This is your divine birthright. You are standing at the threshold of unlimited wealth. You have the key, the door is open, but only you can walk through. Only you can claim it. Only you can decide that from this moment forward, you will never again doubt, never again strive, never again question whether you are worthy. You are worthy. You always have been. The riches have always been yours. The favor has always been upon you. The provision has always been guaranteed. The only thing left for you to do is receive. Breathe in the truth that you are already taken care of. Breathe out every fear, every worry, every thought that tells you otherwise. Hold firm to the knowing that God does not make promises He does not keep. Stand boldly in the certainty that what He has spoken over your life cannot be undone. The moment you fully accept this, everything changes. The world will look at you and wonder how you move so effortlessly into prosperity. They will not understand because they still believe in effort, still believe in struggle, still believe in limitation. But you will know the truth. You will know that it was never about effort, never about labor, never about proving yourself. It was always about believing. This is your moment. This is your calling. This is the shift that transforms everything. From this day forward, you no longer seek, you no longer chase, you no longer question. You rest in the knowing. You walk in the assurance. You live in the manifestation. God has spoken and His word is final. The riches of heaven are yours. The blessings of abundance are upon you. The struggle is over. It is done. You have stepped into a reality where effort is no longer your concern. The weight of labor has been lifted from your shoulders. It is no longer your job to find a way, to make ends meet, to struggle for survival. That is the way of the world. But you are no longer of the world. You are chosen. set apart, governed by divine law, and in divine law there is no such thing as lack. Everything around you responds to the consciousness you hold. If you hold the consciousness of struggle, then struggle will find you. If you hold the consciousness of lack, then lack will appear. But when you hold the consciousness of abundance, when you accept fully that your provision is not of this world but of God, then there is no effort required. The riches flow not because you chase them, but because you allow them. The opportunities come not because you search for them, but because you expect them. The doors open not because you knock, but because they were never closed to begin with. There are laws at work in your life that the world does not understand. The world teaches that success comes through long hours, through relentless pursuit, through stress and sacrifice. But you have been removed from that system. You have been given a new assignment, a new way of living, a new awareness of who you are and what belongs to you. The wealth that is yours does not require toil. It does not require worry. It does not require permission. It simply is. And all that is required of you is to align with it. Think not in terms of effort, but in terms of reception. You are not the one doing the work. God is. You are not the one striving. God is moving on your behalf. When you understand this, you stop feeling the need to push, to force, to fight. You step back, and in that stillness, everything begins to unfold. The moments of greatest manifestation are the moments of greatest trust. The instant you release control, the instant you stop worrying about how it will happen, is the moment it begins to happen. Look around you. The trees do not labor to grow. The rivers do not struggle to flow. The stars do not worry about shining. They simply are. And just as creation functions effortlessly, so too must you. You were never meant to live in a state of uncertainty, wondering where your next provision would come from. You were never meant to wake up in anxiety, fearing whether you will have enough. You were meant to dwell in the certainty of divine supply. Everything you need is already arranged. The connections, the opportunities, the resources, they are already aligned in your favor. There is no delay except for the one created by doubt. Doubt is the only thing that can keep you from receiving. It is not the economy, it is not circumstances, it is not the opinions of others. The only thing that has the power to hold back your blessing is the belief that you do not already have it. But the moment you erase that belief, the moment you step fully into trust, the floodgates open. You must walk as if it is already done, speak as if it is already done, move as if every need has already been met. When you do this, the world adjusts to your faith. The invisible takes form. The unseen becomes seen. The impossible becomes reality. You are not waiting for riches. They are waiting for you to claim them. You are not chasing opportunities. They are chasing you, looking for a space where they can land. Look not at your bank account. Look not at your current situation. Look not at what the world tells you is possible. Look only to the truth that God has spoken over you. That truth is unshakable. It does not depend on the market. It does not depend on conditions. It does not depend on logic. It depends only on faith. And faith, when absolute, moves mountains. The time for hesitation is over. The time for questioning is over. You have been given the key. You have been given the authority. You have been given the promise. And that promise is that from this moment forward, you are no longer responsible for making things happen. That is God's duty now. Your only task is to believe without wavering. Do not look to others for validation. They will not understand this path because they have not been chosen for it. They will see you resting while they are striving, and they will question. They will see you prospering without effort, and they will doubt. They will see you receiving without labor, and they will assume it is luck. But it is not luck. It is law. The law of divine provision, the law that states that when God speaks, nothing can stand against it. You are beyond human limitations. You are beyond the struggles of this world. You have been lifted into a dimension where things flow effortlessly, where every step is guided, where every need is met before it even arises. You do not need to calculate, do not need to strategize, do not need to work things out. The details have already been arranged. The solutions have already been provided. The riches have already been released. If you could see what has been prepared for you, you would never doubt again. If you could see how the doors are already opened, how the connections are already forming, how the blessings are already on their way, you would never entertain another moment of worry. But even though you cannot see it yet, you must believe it as if you can. That is faith. That is the key. That is the bridge between what is unseen and what is made manifest. The world will try to pull you back. It will try to convince you that you must work for what is already yours. It will try to tell you that you must prove yourself before you can receive. But do not listen. Do not lower yourself to the ways of those who have not been chosen. You are different. You are set apart. You are called to live by a higher law. Speak nothing but abundance. Think nothing but prosperity. Walk in the assurance that you are already taken care of. From now on, everything flows to you effortlessly. The wealth, the opportunities, the blessings, they are drawn to you, seeking you, finding you wherever you go. You do not have to force it. You do not have to earn it. You simply have to receive it. There is no more fear, no more doubt, no more questioning. It is done. It has been spoken. It cannot be reversed. God has declared that you will never again have to search, never again have to strive, never again have to wonder how things will work out. It is His duty now. And God never fails. You must now begin to live as one who has already received. The waiting is over. The struggle is over. The very moment you accept this truth, the shift begins. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. It is only in the now that God moves, and it is only in the now that you must align yourself with His provision. Do not ask, when will it come? That is the language of one who doubts. Instead, declare, it is already here. Walk with the posture of one who lacks nothing. Let your spirit resonate with the certainty that all is unfolding exactly as it should. Every breath you take should be a breath of gratitude, not because you hope to receive, but because you know you already have. If you knew beyond any shadow of a doubt that wealth was flowing to you effortlessly, how would you behave? Would you still worry about the future? Would you still wake up anxious, questioning what tomorrow holds? No. You would move with the confidence of one who is secure, one who is held by the hands of the divine. And that confidence is the key to unlocking everything that has already been assigned to you. Faith is not passive. It is the most powerful force in existence. When you truly believe, all creation bends to your certainty. The people you need are drawn to you. The opportunities you require present themselves effortlessly. The resources you once chased now chase you. This is not theory, this is law. And once you master it, you will never again fall into the illusion of lack. You have seen glimpses of this before. There have been moments when things aligned perfectly, when what you needed appeared just in time, when doors opened without effort. That was not coincidence. That was a demonstration of the law at work in your life. Now, you are being called to live in that state permanently, to move from occasional moments of manifestation to a continuous flow of divine provision. You are no longer in the realm of waiting. You are in the realm of knowing. When you know that something is already yours, you no longer beg for it. You no longer worry about how it will come. You no longer waste energy trying to force what has already been ordained. Instead, you rest, you trust. You walk in unwavering assurance, and in that state, everything comes to you without resistance. The world has taught you that work is the way to wealth. That belief must now be erased. Work is the way of those who do not yet understand divine provision. But you are not among them. You are chosen. And as one who is chosen, your supply does not come from labor. It comes from alignment. Your wealth is not produced by effort. It is a natural byproduct of your faith. You are stepping into a new way of being, one where the old patterns no longer apply. You are no longer required to chase. You are no longer required to strive. You are no longer required to struggle. You are required only to believe, to speak, and to receive. The moment you fully accept this, the floodgates open. The riches that have been stored up for you begin to flow without delay. Look around you. The signs are everywhere. The opportunities have already begun to appear. The resources are already shifting in your favor. What once seemed impossible is now unfolding with ease. Do not hesitate. Do not question. Simply say, yes. Yes to the wealth. Yes to the abundance. Yes to the life that has already been prepared for you. You must remove every lingering doubt from your mind. The doubts whisper that you must do more, that you must prove yourself, that you must struggle a little longer. Silence them. They are remnants of an old way of thinking, a way that no longer applies to you. The moment you let go of doubt completely, the final barriers fall. The full manifestation of what is yours appears. It does not matter what your past looked like. It does not matter what you have been through. It does not matter what the world has told you is possible. The only thing that matters now is the truth that has been spoken over your life. And that truth is that you are chosen, you are set apart, and you are now operating under divine provision. Your role is simple. Stay in a state of gratitude. Move as one who already has everything. Speak only in alignment with abundance. Let your mind dwell only on the certainty of your wealth. The more you do this, the faster everything unfolds. The moment you doubt, you delay. But the moment you believe fully, the reality shifts instantly. You were never meant to struggle. You were never meant to live in uncertainty. You were never meant to wonder how your needs would be met. Those who do not yet understand divine provision live in that way, but not you. You have been given a new understanding, a new law to operate under, a new way of being. And that way is effortless abundance. From this moment forward, let every word you speak be a declaration of what is already yours. Let every thought be one of certainty. Let every action reflect the truth that you are already wealthy, already provided for, already standing in the fullness of divine supply. There is no more striving, there is no more waiting, there is only receiving. What belongs to you is not just enough, it is overflow. It is more than you can contain. It is riches beyond measure, not for a season, but forever. This is the life you have stepped into. This is the reality that has been waiting for you. Accept it fully, walk in it boldly, and watch as everything you once pursued now pursues you. If you pursue happiness, you have the power. If you pursue heaven, you will then pursue the... You no longer live under the curse of effort. You no longer wake up with the burden of figuring out how things will come together. That is no longer your concern. Your only concern is alignment, for alignment is the only true work. The moment you step into divine alignment, you step into the realm where everything is effortlessly added unto you. The old laws of labor and toil no longer apply, for you have ascended into the higher law of faith and knowing. You must guard your mind, for the world will try to pull you back into its illusions. It will tell you that you must prove yourself, that you must earn your way, that you must struggle to receive. But those who are truly awake know better. They know that God has already spoken the word, that the provision is already secured, that the inheritance is already waiting. It is not in the future, it is here. If you had $1 billion in your bank account, would you wake up worried about how to pay your bills? No. You would rest, knowing that your supply is secure. This is the kind of rest you must now embody. The wealth that is yours is not just stored up in earthly banks, it is held in the limitless storehouses of the divine. And what God has set aside for you, no man can take away. You are not called to be like those who scramble for opportunities, who chase after money, who exhaust themselves in pursuit of provision. You are called to be different. You are called to be still and know, to declare and receive, to step into the flow where the riches of heaven pour into your life effortlessly. When you truly grasp this, you will laugh at the idea of working for wealth. You will smile at the thought of effort being the key to prosperity. You will walk as one who already has. You will move with the grace of one who is secure. You will radiate a confidence that draws all things unto you. The world will look at you and wonder why doors open so easily, why resources appear at just the right moment, why opportunities come without struggle, and they will not understand, they will not comprehend that you are operating under a higher law, a law where it is not your job to chase, but only to receive. Everything you have ever desired is already moving toward you. The wealth, the abundance, the financial overflow, it is seeking you now. It is not your place to wonder how or when. It is only your place to accept. The moment you fully accept, the floodgates open. What was once slow is accelerated. What was once hidden is revealed. What was once delayed is now immediate. The ones who are chosen do not live like the rest. They do not concern themselves with matters that others worry about. They do not live in the energy of need. They do not move from a place of lack. They live in the certainty that their God has already provided, that their steps are already ordered, that their supply is already overflowing. This is where you now reside. Do you see how effortlessly the birds of the air are fed? How they do not worry about where their next meal will come from? How they do not labor and yet are sustained with ease? How much more, then, are you taken care of? How much more is already prepared for you? You are worth more than many sparrows, and yet the world has convinced you that you must strive for what has already been freely given. That belief must now be discarded. You are not meant to toil for survival. You are meant to reign in abundance. You are not meant to wonder if your needs will be met. You are meant to walk in the confidence that they already are. From this moment, let go of every thought that tells you otherwise. Release every old belief that ties your wealth to effort. Let go of every illusion that tells you you must work to prove yourself. It is already done. There is no force in existence that can stop what has been divinely assigned to you. There is no system, no person, no obstacle that can block the overflow that is now moving in your direction. The moment you align, the moment you believe, the moment you say yes without hesitation, it all begins to flow. It does not come in drops, but in waves. It does not come in small portions, but in excess. You have stepped into a time where you will no longer experience limitation. What once seemed scarce will now be abundant. What once seemed far away will now be within reach. What once seemed impossible will now be your daily reality. There is no more waiting. There is no more struggling. There is only receiving. God does not call his chosen ones to beg for what is already theirs. He does not ask them to struggle for what has been freely given. He does not withhold blessings from those who are in alignment. He pours out riches beyond measure, not as a reward for effort, but as a natural consequence of belief. And now it is your time to step fully into that belief. The thoughts you think now must only be thoughts of abundance. The words you speak now must only be words of certainty. The energy you carry must only be the energy of one who already has. Anything less is a rejection of the blessing that is waiting to pour into your life. You must let go of doubt completely. You must let go of hesitation entirely. You must step forward with full confidence, knowing that the promise has already been fulfilled. You will begin to see signs immediately. You will notice doors opening without effort. You will see unexpected provision arriving exactly when you need it. You will experience the sensation of being carried, of being sustained, of being supported in a way you have never known before. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is the law in action. This is the divine promise manifesting before your eyes. From this day forward, you will not look for work, because you will understand that work is not your source. God is your source, and his supply is infinite. You will not chase opportunities, because you will know that opportunities are already assigned to you. You will not struggle for success, because you will embody success itself. You will not seek wealth, because wealth will seek you. The riches that are pouring into your life are not just for a season, they are forever. They are not just temporary blessings, they are an eternal inheritance. And when you finally understand this, when you finally accept this truth fully, your life will transform before your eyes. There is no force that can take away what God has given. There is no power that can stop what is already set in motion. Your only responsibility now is to remain in this knowing, to let your every thought align with abundance, to let your every word declare that you already have, to let your every step be taken in confidence, without hesitation, without fear, without doubt, because the moment you do, you will realize that what you once thought was coming is already here. What you once prayed for is already yours. What you once desired is already manifested. And from this moment on, you will never live the same way again. You are now walking in the divine flow, where struggle no longer exists. You are not bound by the laws of effort, nor are you subject to the burdens of uncertainty. The moment you surrendered to the knowing that all is already done, the heavens opened, and what was once withheld by your own doubts has now been released in full measure. There is no more striving, no more wondering if you are worthy, no more questioning if you are enough. The divine has already decided. The inheritance has already been written. The provision has already been secured. You are not here to compete, to prove, to labor under the illusion of scarcity. You are here to embody the truth that you have already won, that you have already been given all that you need and more. Your days of looking outward for confirmation are over. You do not need signs from the world, for the world is merely a reflection of your inner state. If you still see lack, it is only because your mind has not fully grasped the limitless abundance that has already been granted to you. If you still feel the weight of uncertainty, it is only because you have not fully stepped into the authority that is yours. The moment you shift, everything shifts. The moment you believe, everything appears. Money is no longer something you chase, it is something that flows to you, drawn by your certainty, pulled by your unshakable faith. Opportunities are no longer things you seek, they are things that seek you, because your presence alone is the key that unlocks doors. Success is no longer something you strive for. It is something that effortlessly unfolds before you, because you are aligned with the power that creates worlds. You must no longer concern yourself with how or when. That is not your business. That is not your responsibility. Your only task is to remain in the knowing, to keep your mind fixed on the truth, to never entertain doubt, not even for a moment. The moment you waver, you step out of the flow. The moment you question, you delay what is already on its way. You will wake up each day with a new kind of peace, a new kind of confidence, the kind that does not need evidence, the kind that does not need reassurance. You will move through life as one who already has, and the world will respond in kind. People will wonder how you attract so much without effort. They will ask how things seem to align perfectly for you. They will try to understand what makes you different, but they will never truly comprehend, because they are still bound by the illusion of effort, still trapped in the cycle of striving. You have transcended that now. You have stepped into the realm where all is given freely, not as a reward for work, but as a birthright. It is no longer about what you do, it is about what you are. And you are the chosen one, the one upon whom divine favor rests, the one for whom abundance is not a possibility, but an inevitability. Look around you. Everything you see is responding to you. The air, the earth, the people, the circumstances, all shifting according to the energy you hold. And now that you have stepped into the highest alignment, all things must align to match it. The riches that were waiting for you are now appearing. The doors that were once closed are now swinging open. The opportunities that seemed distant are now at your feet. You must release the last remnants of the old mindset, the part of you that still believes in struggle, the part of you that still holds on to doubt, the part of you that wonders if it is really this easy. That version of you is no longer needed. You are no longer the one who tries. You are the one who knows. You are no longer the one who hopes. You are the one who declares. You are no longer the one who asks. You are the one who receives. Your wealth is no longer in question. Your success is no longer in question. Your divine inheritance is no longer in question. The only thing that has ever stood in the way was your own uncertainty, and that uncertainty has now been removed. Now there is only certainty. There is only assurance. There is only the absolute knowing that all is already yours. Watch how quickly things begin to shift. Watch how effortlessly provision comes. Watch how easily opportunities arise. You are now in the season of overflow, where your hands will never be empty, where your needs will never go unmet, where abundance will be the only reality you know. The wealth that flows into your life will not be temporary. It will not be fleeting. It will not be unstable. It will be permanent, because it is rooted in divine law, and divine law does not fail. You are no longer at the mercy of the world. The world is now at the mercy of you. It will bend to accommodate you. It will rearrange itself to fit your knowing. It will deliver to you everything that is already written in your name. And from this moment on, you will walk as one who has never known lack, never known fear, never known struggle, because that version of you is gone. Now there is only abundance. Now there is only overflow. Now there is only the life that God has already prepared for you, and it is magnificent. Now you stand in the fullness of your divine inheritance, knowing that all has already been given. You no longer seek, you no longer strive, you simply receive. The old ways of struggle and doubt are behind you, and before you lies a path of abundance, effortlessly unfolding in perfect alignment with your faith. From this moment on, you move with confidence, with certainty, with the unwavering assurance that God has taken over. Provision is no longer your concern, for it flows to you freely. Success is no longer a distant hope, for it is your natural state. Riches are no longer a pursuit, for they are drawn to you like a river returning to the ocean. Walk boldly now, chosen one, for you are no longer bound by the illusions of the world. You are free, free to receive, free to flourish, free to live in the abundance that has always been yours. And as you embrace this truth fully, the world will witness the power of a life surrendered to divine will. It is done, it has always been done, and now it is yours forever. There's something powerful in knowing that you are not here by accident. Each of us has a path, a journey, a purpose that is uniquely designed just for us. Even in those moments of doubt, confusion, or pain, know this: God has a plan for you. Life, as we all know, is not a straight road. There are twists, there are valleys, and sometimes we feel as though we're standing still. But let me tell you something, it's all part of the bigger picture. Every setback, every challenge, every unexpected turn is leading you closer to the divine plan that God has already crafted. Sometimes we can't see it because we're in the midst of it. But trust me, it's unfolding, even when you can't understand it. There are moments when you may question your purpose, question your worth, and wonder if you're on the right track. I want to remind you today, you are exactly where you're meant to be. You are not lost. You are being shaped, refined, and prepared for something far greater than you can imagine. When life feels overwhelming, when you're met with obstacles that seem impossible to overcome, that is the time to lean into faith. Because God doesn't make mistakes, He's intentional. The struggles you face today are building the strength you need for tomorrow. I know there are days when the plan feels unclear. But faith isn't about seeing the whole staircase. It's about taking the first step, even when you can't see where it will lead. That's the beauty of walking with God. You don't have to have all the answers because He already does. You just need to trust. Understand this: no experience in your life is wasted. Every joy, every heartbreak, every victory, and every loss has meaning. They are threads in the tapestry of your purpose. And when the time is right, you'll see how it all weaves together into something beautiful. Your plan is not like anyone else's. Don't be discouraged if your path looks different. Don't compare your journey to others, because your path is divinely tailored. What God has for you is for you. No one else can claim it. No one else can walk it. You are destined for greatness, but you must trust the process. So today, release the need to control every aspect of your life. Surrender. Let go of the idea that you have to figure it all out. God is guiding you even in the moments that feel the darkest. Keep moving forward with faith, because God has a plan for you, and that plan is always for your highest good. Trust in that and watch how life unfolds with grace and purpose. There's a deep sense of peace that comes when we truly understand that God has a plan for each and every one of us. It's comforting to know that we're not wandering through life aimlessly, but that every step we take, every decision we make, is all part of a greater divine design. Trusting in God's plan means believing that everything in your life is happening for a reason, even when you can't immediately see what that reason is. It's knowing that no matter where you are right now, you're exactly where you need to be for your growth, for your journey, and for your purpose. Life, as we all know, can be unpredictable. We face challenges, disappointments, and moments of pure confusion. There are times when we feel completely lost, as though we've taken a wrong turn somewhere and ended up in the middle of nowhere. In those moments, trusting that God has a plan for us can feel like the hardest thing in the world. We wonder why things didn't work out the way we hoped, why we're facing certain hardships, or why the timing of life feels so off. But that's exactly when trust matters the most, when we don't have the answers and we can't see the way forward. Trusting in God's plan doesn't mean we have to understand every detail. It doesn't mean that we'll always know why things are happening as they are. In fact, more often than not, we won't understand until much later, when we look back and see how each moment fit perfectly into the larger picture. Trusting God is about surrendering our need to control the outcome. It's about letting go of the need to know every step of the journey and embracing the mystery of life. We don't have to have it all figured out, because God already does. He's seen the end from the beginning, and His plan is always perfect. But how do we trust when life feels uncertain? How do we hold on to faith when everything around us seems to be falling apart? The key is understanding that God's plan is not dependent on our circumstances. It's not swayed by what's happening in the world around us or by the challenges we face. God's plan is steady, unchanging, and always working for our good even when we can't see it. One of the most powerful things we can do is to remind ourselves that God's timing is not our timing. We often have our own ideas about how things should unfold, about the timeline of our lives, and when certain milestones should be reached. But God sees things from a higher perspective. He knows when the time is right, and He knows what's best for us in the long run. There may be delays, detours, or even complete shifts in direction, but none of these are accidents. They are all part of the journey, and they are all leading us to where we're meant to be. It's also important to recognize that trusting in God's plan doesn't mean we sit back and do nothing. Trusting God is an active process. It means stepping forward in faith, even when the path ahead isn't clear. It means taking the next step, even when we don't know what comes after that. Trusting God is about moving forward with confidence, not in our own abilities, but in the knowledge that He is guiding us every step of the way. When we trust in God's plan, we can find peace in the midst of uncertainty. Instead of constantly worrying about the future, we can rest in the assurance that God is already there, working things out for our good. We can stop striving, stop trying to force things to happen, and instead allow life to unfold in the way that it's meant to. That doesn't mean we won't face challenges or obstacles. In fact, trusting God often means walking through difficult seasons, but with the assurance that those seasons have a purpose. Every challenge, every hardship is an opportunity for growth, for refinement, and for becoming the person God has called us to be. Trusting in God's plan also allows us to let go of comparison. It's easy to look at someone else's life and feel like we're falling behind, like we're not achieving enough or progressing quickly enough. But God's plan for your life is uniquely yours. Your path is not meant to look like anyone else's, and your timing is not meant to match theirs. When you trust that God has a plan specifically for you, You can let go of the need to compare and instead focus on walking your own path with confidence and faith. There's a beautiful freedom that comes when we release the need to control everything. When we trust in God's plan, we no longer have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We don't have to have all the answers. We don't have to worry about every little detail. Instead, we can rest in the knowledge that God is in control, that He is guiding us, and that His plan is always for our highest good. There may be times when we doubt, times when we question if we're really on the right path. In those moments, it's important to pause and remind ourselves of God's faithfulness. Look back on your life and see the ways that God has been there for you, guiding you and providing for you, even when you didn't realize it at the time. Every blessing, every opportunity, every closed door that led to something better, those are all reminders of God's perfect plan for your life. When we take the time to reflect on God's faithfulness, it becomes easier to trust that He is still working, even in the moments when we can't see it. In the end, trusting in God's plan is about surrendering our will to His. It's about saying, I may not understand it all, but I trust you, God. I trust that you know what's best for me. I trust that you are leading me where I need to go. It's about releasing the need to control every aspect of our lives and instead allowing God to lead us on the journey that He has designed specifically for us. Trusting God doesn't mean life will be free from challenges. It doesn't mean we won't face difficulties or setbacks. But it does mean that we can face those challenges with a sense of peace and confidence, knowing that God is in control. It means that we can walk through life with faith, even when the path ahead is unclear. Because we know deep down that God's plan is always for our good, always for our growth, and always for our ultimate purpose. Trust in that, and you will find a peace that surpasses all understanding. Recognizing divine guidance in everyday moments requires both an open heart and an attentive spirit. It's about becoming more aware of the subtle ways in which God communicates with us, guiding us along the path He has laid out. Too often we expect grand signs or extraordinary events to confirm that God is directing our steps, but divine guidance is frequently found in the quiet, ordinary moments of life. It's in the soft nudges, the still small voice, and the everyday experiences that, when viewed through the lens of faith, reveal God's presence and purpose. To recognize divine guidance, we must first acknowledge that God is always present and always communicating with us. He speaks to us through our thoughts, feelings, circumstances, and even through other people. The challenge is not whether God is guiding us, but whether we are tuned in to hear Him. Life can be so busy, filled with distractions, noise, and the pressures of daily responsibilities, that we often overlook the subtle ways God is trying to lead us. Recognizing divine guidance requires us to slow down, be still, and make space in our lives for quiet reflection and spiritual awareness. One of the most profound ways God guides us is through our intuition. That inner sense, that gut feeling, is often the Holy Spirit gently prompting us in a particular direction. When we feel a sudden clarity about a decision, or a deep sense of peace about a certain course of action, we are experiencing divine guidance. This inner voice may not always be loud or dramatic, but it is persistent. The more we learn to trust this intuitive sense, the more we can align our actions with God's will for our lives. However, tuning into this guidance requires discernment. Not every thought or feeling is divine guidance, which is why it's important to ground ourselves in prayer, meditation, and spiritual practices that help us stay connected to God. Another way to recognize divine guidance is through the doors that open and close in our lives. Sometimes God's direction comes in the form of opportunities that arise seemingly out of nowhere. A job offer, a new relationship, or an unexpected invitation can be God's way of pointing us in a new direction. Similarly, closed doors such as a missed opportunity or a plan that falls through can also be divine guidance. We may feel disappointment or frustration when things don't go as we hoped, but often God is protecting us from something that isn't meant for us, or He is redirecting us to something better. It's important to remember that closed doors are not signs of failure, they are often blessings in disguise, guiding us toward a path that is more aligned with God's plan. Divine guidance can also be found in our relationships. God often uses the people in our lives to guide us, whether it's through a conversation, a word of encouragement, or even constructive criticism. We may not always recognize it in the moment, but looking back, we can often see how certain people were placed in our lives for a reason. These individuals may offer wisdom or perspective that helps us see a situation more clearly. Sometimes a friend's advice, a mentor's counsel, or even a stranger's kind word can be exactly what we need to move forward. God uses our connections with others as a channel for His guidance, and by paying attention to the relationships in our lives, we can often discern His direction. Circumstances are another way through which God provides guidance. When we encounter unexpected events, whether positive or challenging, these moments often carry messages from God. A sudden detour, a delay, or a coincidence may all be part of a divine plan that is leading us to where we need to be. Even difficulties and struggles can be a form of guidance, pushing us to grow, to change direction, or to rely more fully on God. When we are facing a challenge, rather than asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can shift our perspective and ask, "What is this teaching me?" or "How is God using this situation to guide me?" By viewing our circumstances through a spiritual lens, we can begin to recognize the ways in which God is leading us, even in the most unexpected situations. Prayer is one of the most important tools for recognizing divine guidance. When we are uncertain about a decision or a direction in life, turning to prayer allows us to seek God's wisdom. Through prayer, we open ourselves up to hearing from God, and we invite His presence into our decision-making process. It's important to remember that prayer is not just about asking for guidance, it's also about listening. Often we may pray for answers, but fail to make space to listen for God's response. After praying, taking time to sit in silence, to meditate, and to reflect can help us hear the still small voice of God more clearly. Over time, as we develop a deeper relationship with God through prayer, we become more attuned to His guidance in our everyday lives. Another aspect of recognizing divine guidance is paying attention to the recurring themes or signs in our lives. Sometimes God communicates with us through patterns or repeated messages. We might hear the same advice from multiple sources, encounter the same scripture verse in different contexts, or notice certain themes emerging in our lives. These patterns are not coincidences, they are often God's way of getting our attention. When we start to notice these recurring signs, it's important to reflect on what God might be trying to tell us. What is the message that keeps coming up? What direction is God pointing us toward? By staying open and attentive to these signs, we can begin to see how God is guiding us through the everyday details of our lives. Recognizing divine guidance involves trusting the process. Sometimes we won't have all the answers right away. God's guidance may not come in the form of a clear, immediate direction, but rather as a series of steps that unfold over time. It's important to trust that even when we don't see the full picture, God is leading us. Each step we take in faith brings us closer to understanding His plan. Often divine guidance is revealed in hindsight. When we look back, we can see how God was guiding us all along, even in moments when we felt lost or uncertain. Recognizing divine guidance in everyday moments is about staying open, attentive, and grounded in faith. It's about tuning into the subtle ways God communicates with us, whether through our intuition, circumstances, relationships, or recurring signs. It's about trusting that God is always present, always guiding us, and always working for our good, even when we can't see the full picture. When we cultivate a spirit of openness and reflection, we begin to see that divine guidance is all around us, leading us every step of the way. Learning to trust God's timing is one of the most challenging yet rewarding aspects of our spiritual journey. We live in a world that values speed and instant gratification, where everything is expected to happen immediately. However, God operates on a different timetable. His timing is perfect, but it often doesn't align with our own. Trusting His timing requires patience, faith, and a deep understanding that there is a purpose behind every delay, every wait, and every moment where it feels like nothing is happening. It's in these moments of waiting that some of the most profound growth and transformation take place. When we think about trusting God's timing, it's essential to acknowledge that God sees the bigger picture. While we may be focused on the here and now, concerned with our immediate needs and desires, God has a long-term plan for our lives. He knows what is best for us, not just in this moment but for our future. There are times when we might feel frustrated because we're not seeing the results we want as quickly as we would like, but God's timing is always intentional. He is orchestrating things in ways we cannot see, ensuring that everything aligns perfectly for the greater good of our lives. What might feel like a delay to us is often divine preparation. One of the most common struggles people face when trusting God's timing is the temptation to take matters into their own hands. When we don't see immediate results, we can become impatient, trying to force outcomes or rush through situations. However, when we take control instead of waiting on God, we often end up making decisions that lead to more confusion or delay. The story of Abraham and Sarah in the Bible is a prime example of this. God promised them a child, but when the fulfillment of that promise didn't happen quickly, they took matters into their own hands. The result was unnecessary complications and heartache. If they had waited for God's timing, they would have avoided much of the pain they experienced. This story teaches us the importance of patience and trust in God's plan, even when it doesn't unfold according to our expectations. Patience is a key virtue when it comes to trusting God's timing. It's easy to be patient when everything is going according to plan, but the real test of patience comes during the waiting periods of life. Whether we're waiting for a breakthrough in our careers, healing from an illness, or clarity in a relationship, these periods of waiting can feel excruciating. However, the waiting process is often where God is doing His most significant work in us. Waiting is not passive, it's active trust. It's during these times that God is molding and shaping us, developing our character, strengthening our faith, and preparing us for the blessings to come. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 3:11, He has made everything beautiful in its time. This verse reminds us that God's timing is not just perfect, but beautiful. What may seem like a delay to us is actually God's way of ensuring that everything falls into place in the most extraordinary way. Trusting God's timing also involves letting go of our need for control. As human beings, we often want to control every aspect of our lives. We want to plan our future down to the smallest detail, and we want things to happen on our timeline. But life doesn't work that way. We can't control everything, and the more we try, the more anxious and stressed we become. Trusting God's timing requires surrender, releasing our grip on the reins and allowing God to lead the way. It's about acknowledging that we don't have all the answers and that God's wisdom far surpasses our understanding. This act of surrender is incredibly liberating. It frees us from the burden of trying to force outcomes and allows us to rest in the knowledge that God is in control. During the waiting period, it's essential to stay connected to God through prayer and reflection. When we're waiting for something important, it's easy to become fixated on what we don't have or what hasn't happened yet. This can lead to frustration, doubt, and even resentment. But when we turn to God in prayer, we are reminded of His presence and His promises. Prayer is not just about asking God to move faster or to give us what we want. It's about aligning our hearts with His will. It's about finding peace in the waiting, knowing that God's timing is always perfect, even when we don't understand it. Through prayer, we can find the strength to keep going, to trust the process, and to maintain a sense of hope, even in the most uncertain of times. Another important aspect of trusting God's timing is recognizing that His delays are not denials. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. There are times when God says, wait, because He is working behind the scenes, setting things up in ways that we cannot see. There are also times when God says no, because He has something better in store for us. Trusting God's timing means believing that He knows what is best for us, even when it doesn't match our desires. It's about having faith that, in the end, everything will work out according to His plan, and that plan is far greater than anything we could imagine for ourselves. In many cases, we don't fully understand God's timing until we look back. Hindsight is often where we can see the beauty of God's plan unfolding. There may be times in our lives when we were desperate for something to happen, only to realize later that if it had happened on our timeline, we wouldn't have been ready for it. Maybe the job we wanted so badly would have been overwhelming if we had received it earlier, or the relationship we longed for wouldn't have been right at that time. It's only when we look back that we can see how God was protecting us, preparing us, and positioning us for something better. Trusting God's timing also helps us develop a sense of gratitude. When we learn to trust that God is working all things together for our good, we can find joy and gratitude in the present moment, even if we're still waiting for certain things to unfold. Instead of focusing on what we don't have or what hasn't happened yet, we can choose to be grateful for what God is doing right now. Gratitude shifts our perspective. It allows us to see the blessings that are already present in our lives, and it helps us cultivate a sense of peace and contentment, regardless of our circumstances. Trusting God's timing is a journey of faith, patience, and surrender. It's about releasing our need for control and allowing God to lead the way. It's about finding peace in the waiting and believing that God's plan for our lives is always for our good. Even when we don't understand the delays, even when we're tempted to take matters into our own hands, we can rest in the assurance that God's timing is perfect. He is always at work, orchestrating things behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, and preparing us for the blessings to come. When we trust His timing, we open ourselves up to experiencing the fullness of His love, grace, and provision in our lives. The idea that God's plan for your life is greater than you could ever imagine is both comforting and empowering. It speaks to the vastness of God's wisdom and love for us, reminding us that no matter how grand our dreams or ambitions may seem, God's vision for our lives far surpasses anything we could conceive. This truth invites us to step into a life of faith, where we trust not only in the promises of God, but also in His boundless ability to create something far more beautiful and purposeful than we could ever envision on our own. When we reflect on the concept that God's plan is greater than anything we could imagine, it's essential to understand that God sees us fully. He knows us better than we know ourselves. He created us with unique gifts, talents, and purposes that are intricately woven into His divine plan. While we might have goals or desires that seem big to us, God's plan encompasses not just our personal fulfillment, but the ways in which we are meant to impact others, bring light to the world, and fulfill His broader purpose for humanity. This means that when we align ourselves with God's plan, we step into a life that is not only about personal success, but about making a meaningful difference in the lives of others. Often our human tendency is to dream within the confines of what we believe is possible based on our current circumstances. We may set goals or have aspirations, but they are often limited by our perceived abilities, resources, or life situations. However, God's plan for our lives is not constrained by these limitations. In fact, He often calls us to step beyond what we believe is possible, to embrace a vision that feels far beyond our reach. This is because God operates in the realm of the miraculous. He takes our limitations and turns them into opportunities for His power and glory to be revealed. What may seem impossible to us is entirely possible with God. One of the key aspects of understanding that God's plan is greater than we can imagine is realizing that His timing and process may not always align with our expectations. We might have a clear idea of what we want or where we want to go, but God's plan often involves a journey that we cannot foresee. This journey may include challenges, detours, or even periods of waiting, but each step is a necessary part of the process. God uses these experiences to shape us, prepare us, and equip us for the greater plan He has in store. Even the difficult seasons of life are not wasted. They are part of the refining process that leads us toward the fulfillment of God's greater vision for our lives. At times, God's plan may involve leading us in directions we never anticipated. We may have our hearts set on a particular path, but God has a way of surprising us by opening doors we didn't even know existed. These unexpected opportunities or changes in direction can be unsettling at first, because they require us to step out of our comfort zones and into the unknown. However, when we trust that God's plan is greater than our own, we can embrace these moments with faith and confidence. We can be assured that God is leading us towards something even better than we had imagined. One of the most powerful examples of God's greater plan can be found in the lives of individuals who have experienced profound transformations or breakthroughs that they never saw coming. Many people have stories of how they pursued one path, only to be redirected by God into something far more significant. These stories often involve moments of surrender, where individuals let go of their own plans and fully trusted in God's guidance. It's in these moments of surrender that God's greater plan begins to unfold in ways that surpass all understanding. We see this in the lives of biblical figures such as Joseph, who, after being sold into slavery and enduring years of hardship, rose to a position of great influence that allowed him to save his people. Joseph's story is a testament to how God's plan is always greater, even when the path to fulfillment is filled with unexpected twists and turns. Another aspect of God's greater plan is the way in which He uses our lives to touch others. Often we think of our personal success or happiness as the ultimate goal, but God's plan is much broader. He uses our lives, our stories, and even our challenges to inspire, encourage, and uplift those around us. When we step into God's greater plan, we become vessels of His love and grace, impacting the lives of others in ways we may never fully understand. Our influence extends far beyond what we can see, as God's plan involves not just our individual lives, but the ripple effects of our faith, love, and service in the lives of others. God's greater plan also involves the fulfillment of promises that we may not even be aware of. The Bible is filled with examples of people who received blessings far beyond what they had hoped for. Abraham, for instance, was promised descendants as numerous as the stars, even when it seemed impossible due to his and Sarah's old age. Yet God fulfilled His promise in a way that far exceeded what Abraham could have imagined. Similarly, God often has promises for us that we may not yet see or understand, but He is faithful to fulfill them in His perfect time and way. It's important to remember that God's plan for our lives is rooted in His love for us. He is not a distant or indifferent God. He is intimately involved in every aspect of our lives, and His plans for us are always good. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This verse is a powerful reminder that no matter what we are going through, God's plan is ultimately for our good. His love for us is so great that He desires to bless us, to give us a future filled with hope, and to guide us into a life of purpose and fulfillment. In embracing the truth that God's plan is greater than we could ever imagine, we are called to live with a sense of expectancy and trust. We don't have to have all the answers or know every detail of how our lives will unfold. Instead, we can rest in the assurance that God is in control, and His plan for us is beyond our wildest dreams. This doesn't mean that we won't face challenges or disappointments along the way, but it does mean that we can move forward with confidence, knowing that God is working all things together for our good. Understanding that God's plan for your life is greater than you could ever imagine invites you to live a life of faith, trust, and surrender. It calls you to let go of your limited view of what's possible and embrace the limitless possibilities that come with aligning your life with God's will. His plan is not just about your personal success, it's about fulfilling a greater purpose that impacts the world around you. While the journey may not always be easy or predictable, you can have faith that God is guiding you toward a future that is filled with hope, purpose, and blessings beyond your imagination. When you trust in His greater plan, you step into a life that is far more extraordinary than anything you could have ever dreamed. Life is a journey filled with highs and lows, triumphs and challenges, moments of joy and seasons of struggle. One of the greatest truths we can hold on to during these times is that every challenge we face is part of a bigger picture, a journey that God has carefully designed for our growth and transformation. Embracing life's challenges as part of the journey means recognizing that adversity isn't just a random, unfortunate occurrence. It's a critical part of our spiritual development and a necessary step on the path to fulfilling God's divine plan for our lives. When we encounter obstacles, it's natural to feel frustrated, discouraged, or even defeated. But what if we shifted our perspective? What if, instead of viewing challenges as roadblocks, we saw them as stepping stones? Each trial we endure is an opportunity to build strength, resilience, and deeper faith. It's during the difficult times that our character is tested and refined. Without challenges, there would be no growth. we would remain stagnant, unchanging, and unprepared for the bigger and better things that God has in store for us. In many ways, challenges are like a refining fire. Just as gold is purified by fire, so too are we purified through the trials we face. It is through these experiences that we learn patience, humility, and perseverance. Every challenge presents an opportunity to lean into faith, to trust that God is working even when we don't understand His ways. The Bible tells us in James 1:2-3, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." This verse reminds us that there is a purpose to our pain, that God is using it to build something beautiful within us. When we face hardships, it's easy to ask, "Why is this happening to me?" But a more powerful question to ask is, "What is this teaching me?" Every difficulty we encounter holds a lesson, something we can take with us as we continue on our journey. Whether it's learning to let go of control, discovering the depth of our inner strength, or gaining empathy for others who are going through similar struggles, challenges are our greatest teachers. They push us out of our comfort zones, force us to confront parts of ourselves that need healing, and ultimately shape us into the people we are meant to be. Sometimes challenges come into our lives to redirect us. What may seem like a setback could actually be God's way of steering us onto a new path, one that is more aligned with our purpose. We've all had experiences where something didn't go as planned, a job didn't work out, a relationship ended, or a door we were hoping would open remained firmly shut. In those moments, it can be hard to see beyond the immediate disappointment. But when we look back, we often realize that those closed doors were blessings in disguise. God knew what we didn't, and He was protecting us from something that wasn't meant for us, or preparing us for something even greater. Embracing challenges as part of the journey also means accepting that we won't always have the answers right away. Sometimes we have to walk through difficult seasons without fully understanding why certain things are happening. It's in these moments that faith becomes our anchor. Faith tells us that even though we can't see the whole picture, God is at work. He is using every trial to strengthen us, to prepare us, and to draw us closer to Him. When we trust in God's plan, we can find peace even in the midst of chaos, knowing that everything is happening for a reason, and that in time we will see the purpose behind our struggles. There's a well-known quote that says, "Smooth seas do not make skilled sailors," in much the same way. A life free from challenges does not make strong, resilient individuals. It's through the storms of life that we learn how to navigate with courage, how to trust God even when the waters are rough, and how to hold on to hope when everything around us feels uncertain. Each challenge we face equips us with the tools we need for the next part of our journey. It's like building spiritual muscle. Every time we overcome an obstacle, we become stronger, more capable, and more prepared for the future. Another important aspect of embracing challenges is recognizing that we are never alone in our struggles. God walks with us every step of the way. He is our strength when we feel weak, our comfort when we feel afraid, and our guide when we feel lost. In Psalm 23:4, the psalmist writes, "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff. They comfort me." This verse is a powerful reminder that no matter how dark or difficult the road ahead may seem, God is with us. He is guiding us, protecting us, and leading us toward His perfect plan. One of the most beautiful things about embracing challenges is that it allows us to develop a deeper sense of gratitude. When we go through difficult times and come out on the other side, we gain a greater appreciation for the good things in life. We learn to cherish moments of peace, to celebrate small victories, and to recognize the blessings that we might have otherwise taken for granted. Challenges teach us to be grateful for our strength, for our faith, and for the ways that God provides for us, even in the midst of hardship. It's also important to remember that challenges are temporary. No matter how difficult a season may be, it will not last forever. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. God promises in Isaiah 43:2, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, They will not sweep over you. This verse reassures us that even though we may face deep waters, we will not be overcome. God is with us, and He will see us through to the other side. Ultimately, embracing life's challenges as part of the journey is about trusting in the process. It's about recognizing that every obstacle we face is a stepping stone towards something greater. It's about believing that God is using our struggles to shape us, to grow us, and to prepare us for the purpose He has for our lives. When we embrace challenges with faith, resilience, and a spirit of gratitude, we are able to move through life with a deeper sense of peace, knowing that every part of the journey, both the good and the difficult, is leading us closer to our divine destiny. Faith is often described as a belief in things unseen, a trust in something greater than ourselves, even when we don't have all the answers. Leaning into faith during times of uncertainty is not just an abstract concept, it's a powerful practice that can transform the way we navigate life's most challenging moments. When everything around us feels unstable, when the path ahead is unclear, faith becomes the anchor that grounds us. It's the assurance that, even when we can't see the full picture, God is at work behind the scenes, guiding us and leading us to where we are meant to be. Uncertainty is a natural part of life. We all go through seasons where we don't know what the future holds, whether it's uncertainty in our careers, relationships, health, or finances. These are moments that can evoke fear, anxiety, and doubt. We may feel like we're walking in the dark, unsure of the next step to take. It's in these moments of uncertainty that faith becomes most critical. Faith allows us to take a step forward even when we can't see the entire staircase. It's the belief that, although we may not know what lies ahead, God does, and He has a plan that is unfolding in ways we may not yet understand. Leaning into faith means surrendering our need for control. As humans, we have a natural tendency to want to control every aspect of our lives. We want to know what's going to happen next, how things will turn out, and what the future holds. But the reality is, we can't control everything. Life is full of twists and turns that we can't predict. Trying to control outcomes often leads to frustration and stress because we are fighting against the flow of life. Faith, on the other hand, invites us to let go of that control. It's about acknowledging that, while we may not have all the answers, God does. It's about trusting in His plan, even when we don't understand it in the moment. One of the greatest challenges we face during times of uncertainty is the feeling of vulnerability. Not knowing what the future holds can make us feel exposed, as if we're standing on shaky ground. But faith offers a sense of security in the midst of that vulnerability. When we lean into faith, we are reminded that we are not walking through life alone. God is with us every step of the way, and He has promised to guide and protect us. The Bible tells us in Isaiah 41:10, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." This verse is a powerful reminder that no matter how uncertain life may feel, God's presence is a constant source of strength and support. Faith also helps us to shift our perspective during uncertain times. Instead of focusing on what we don't know or can't control, faith encourages us to focus on what we do know, that God is good, that His plans are for our good, and that He is always working on our behalf. When we lean into faith, we begin to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. We start to recognize that every season of uncertainty is a chance to strengthen our trust in God, to deepen our relationship with Him, and to develop the qualities that will prepare us for the next stage of our journey. In times of uncertainty, our faith can also be a source of hope. It's easy to feel discouraged when things aren't going as planned or when we're faced with the unknown. But faith reminds us that our current circumstances are not the end of the story. God is still writing the narrative of our lives, and the best is yet to come. When we hold on to faith, we are able to maintain a sense of hope, even in the midst of difficult situations. This hope is not based on wishful thinking or blind optimism, but on the firm belief that God's promises are true, and that He is faithful to complete the work He has started in us. Another aspect of leaning into faith during uncertainty is learning to embrace the waiting period. Often uncertainty comes with a sense of waiting for clarity, waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for God to reveal the next step. Waiting can be difficult, especially in a world that values instant gratification. But faith teaches us that there is purpose in the waiting. It's during these periods of waiting that God is working behind the scenes, aligning the right people, circumstances, and opportunities for our good. The waiting period is not wasted time, it's a time of preparation. Just as a seed must be planted in the dark soil before it can grow, so too must we often endure periods of uncertainty before we can fully step into the next season of our lives. Leaning into faith also requires us to stay connected to God through prayer and reflection. During times of uncertainty, it's easy to become overwhelmed by our fears and doubts. But when we take the time to quiet our minds, to seek God's presence, and to pray for guidance, we are reminded of His constant love and care for us. Prayer is a way to center ourselves in faith, to release our worries to God, and to trust that He is guiding us even when we can't see the way forward. It's through prayer that we can find peace in the midst of uncertainty, knowing that God hears us and that He is always working for our good. One of the most important things to remember during times of uncertainty is that faith is not a passive state, it's an active choice. It's a choice to trust God, even when the path ahead is unclear. It's a choice to believe in His goodness, even when we don't understand why certain things are happening. It's a choice to move forward with confidence, knowing that God is in control and that He is working all things together for our good. There will always be moments in life when we don't have all the answers, but that's where faith comes in. Faith allows us to step into the unknown with courage, to trust that God is leading us, and to believe that, no matter what happens, His plan is for our good. Leaning into faith during times of uncertainty is about embracing the unknown with confidence, knowing that God's love, guidance, and provision are always with us. It's about releasing our fears, trusting in His perfect timing, and walking forward with the assurance that we are never alone. In conclusion, recognizing and embracing the truth that God's plan for your life is greater than you could ever imagine is the key to living with faith, purpose, and fulfillment. While life may not always unfold the way we expect or desire, trusting in God's perfect timing and infinite wisdom allows us to navigate challenges with grace and patience. Every step, every delay, and every unexpected turn is part of a divine process that shapes us into who we are meant to be, leading us towards something far more beautiful and meaningful than we can comprehend. When we surrender our plans to God and allow Him to guide us, we open ourselves up to the miraculous, to blessings beyond our wildest dreams, and to a life of deeper purpose that touches not only our own hearts, but the lives of those around us. So as you continue your journey, trust that God's plan is unfolding perfectly, and it is greater, more abundant, and more powerful than anything you could ever imagine.
Tonight, I will activate your mind to manifest anything. Yes, anything. I do not speak in metaphor. I do not deal in wishful thinking or half-hearted hope. I am telling you with every fiber of truth that the very mind you possess, this moment, holds within it the infinite power to reshape your entire world. Your current circumstances are not permanent. They are not fixed. They are fluid, moldable, and entirely subject to the images and assumptions you dare to impress upon the inner man. For man is all imagination, and God is man, and exists in us, and we in Him. If you are waiting for something outside of you to change, so that you may feel different, you are living in reverse. Life is not lived from the outside in. It is lived from the inside out. Consciousness is the only reality. The world reflects not what you want, but what you are. And what you are is nothing but the sum total of the thoughts you continually think and the states you occupy. All transformation begins with a shift in consciousness, and the truth is simple. You become what you believe yourself to be. You cannot rise higher than your assumptions. Now let me show you something that will forever shift the way you view life. Close your eyes, mentally, if not physically, and bring to mind the thing you desire most. A home, a fortune, a partner, radiant health, purpose, joy. Whatever it is, you must now claim it. Not wish for it, not beg the heavens to grant it, but assume it as your present reality. The assumption, though false to the senses, if persisted in, will harden into fact. And here is the key. You must dwell in the end, not visit it occasionally, not test it as though you are unsure, but move into it as a tenant moves into a new home. Feel the furniture, touch the walls, smell the air of your fulfilled dream. You must learn to feel the reality of the unseen, for feeling is the secret. Feeling is the bridge between the inner world and the outer, and the law is always working. It does not rest. The universe listens, but it does not hear words. It hears frequency, it hears energy, and it responds with precision. When you say to yourself, I am wealthy, but inwardly feel lack, the law responds not to your words, but to your feeling. And so, you must marry the thought with the feeling. Thought alone is not enough. You must feel your way into the state desired. Think of your imagination as the womb of reality. What you conceive within, in time, will be born without. Do not concern yourself with the how. The mechanism is not your responsibility. The seed does not concern itself with the mechanics of the soil. It simply knows it must germinate. Likewise, your only task is to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. This is not delusion. This is the very key Jesus demonstrated when he said, whatsoever you ask for when you pray, believe that you have received it, and it shall be yours. Not shall be in time, but already is. Believe you have received it. Let me be clear. You do not manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. The subconscious mind accepts as truth that which you feel to be true. And so, night after night, before you fall asleep, revise your day. Do not drift into sleep thinking idle thoughts. Use this sacred moment to impress upon your subconscious the image of your fulfilled desire. See it, hear it, touch it in your imagination until it feels natural. This is the key. It must feel natural. The mind is always creating, even in your ignorance. Every idle word, every flippant statement, every grumble of discontent is a command issued to the subconscious. You must discipline your inner conversations. Talk to yourself as one who already possesses that which he seeks. The world is a mirror, endlessly reflecting your internal states. You cannot escape your own assumptions. Change your assumption, and the world changes accordingly. Now let me tell you something that most overlook. Doubt is also an assumption. Fear is a form of belief. And when you entertain these inner states, you are manifesting from them. The law is impersonal. It does not judge. It simply reflects. That is why I say to you, take no thought for the morrow. Do not project anxiety into tomorrow. Assume that tomorrow will bring with it the evidence of today's inner claim. Live as though it were impossible to fail. The world cannot resist a man who persistently assumes success. To activate your mind to manifest anything, you must first stop identifying with your past. Your past is dead. It lives only in memory. Do not let it define you. You are not your failures. You are not your traumas. You are not your circumstances. You are awareness itself. You are the operant power. And once you awaken to this, you are free. For if you can assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you will be led across a bridge of incidents to its realization. Your mind is the workshop of God. Imagination is not mere fantasy. It is the very substance of reality. Everything man has created began as a thought, a desire, a vision unseen by the world. And so it is with you. You must see it within before you can ever see it without. You must know it is done. When you imagine something and then feel the thrill of its completion, you set into motion unseen forces that must bring it to pass. This is not wishful thinking. This is law. This is scripture rightly interpreted. When the Bible speaks of faith, it speaks of a psychological certainty. It means loyalty to the unseen reality. It means walking by faith, not by sight. You must become so anchored in your inner vision that the facts of the world cannot sway you. Let the world say you are mad. It does not matter. The world always mocks the visionary until the vision becomes fact. Then they call him genius. When you activate your mind through imagination, you become one with the divine creative power. There is no power outside of consciousness. What you experience as your world is nothing more than the outpicturing of your inner conversations and sustained moods. Change the conversation, and the world reshapes itself. Speak to yourself with love, with confidence, with bold declarations. Tell yourself, I am chosen, I am blessed, I am wealthy, I am in perfect health. And do not say it timidly. Say it as though the universe must obey, because it must. Every moment you choose to accept only that which aligns with your desire, you are creating from your higher self. And when your senses contradict your assumption, you persist. This is the great secret. Persistence in the assumption of the wish fulfilled is the way to its manifestation. Do not be discouraged by time. Time is the delay between the planting and the harvest. The seed knows it must become the tree. So must you know that your assumption must become fact. Your mind, once awakened, is a tool of infinite power. It can build empires, heal the sick, open doors that were never meant to open, but only if you believe. You cannot half believe and expect full results. You must go all in. You must be willing to let go of appearances, let go of logic, and let go of needing to know how. This is the trust that brings about miracles. The mind is activated by conviction, and conviction comes from the repetition of the desired state until it becomes familiar. Sleep tonight in the feeling that your dream is already yours. Live tomorrow as though you have already received the answer. React not to appearances, but to the vision held within. If you do this, life must conform. The law has no choice. It does not argue. It does not reason. It simply reflects. You are not here to chase things. You are here to summon them. Through feeling, through vision, through the power of assumption, you call into your experience all that you desire. And what you desire is already yours, waiting only for you to claim it. There is no delay except the one you accept. There is no limitation except the one you believe in. The prison doors are open, but you must walk out. No one will do it for you. The power is in your hands. When you activate your mind, you awaken the God within. And the God within is not limited. The God within speaks and it is done. You are that God, dreaming the dream of life. And when you finally take hold of your imagination and direct it with purpose, you will find that the entire universe conspires to fulfill your assumption. So I say to you now, activate your mind, not later. Now, assume the highest version of yourself. Walk in the light of your fulfilled desire. Talk to yourself as the one who already has it. Feel the joy, the peace, the gratitude as though your dream were reality. And do not waver. Though the world may remain the same for a time, it must bend. The world always yields to the persistent inner state. You were never meant to beg. You were meant to create. You were never meant to struggle. You were meant to assume. You are the artist, the architect, the author of your life. Write it with conviction. Speak it with authority. Imagine it with clarity. And feel it with joy. Do this, and I promise you what is now invisible will become visible. What is now distant will draw near, and what is now a dream will become your living reality. I have spoken not from theory, but from experience. What I have lived, you too shall live if you dare to believe. You hold the key, use it, unlock the door, and walk boldly into the life that has been waiting for you all along. Let us go even deeper now. For the creative act is not a moment, it is a state, an identity. You are not a person who does imagination. You are imagination itself. You are not someone who occasionally manifests. You are manifestation, walking, breathing, and thinking. The degree to which you realize this determines how quickly and precisely your world responds to you. Once you truly grasp that your mind is the projector and the world the screen, you stop fussing with appearances. You go straight to the film reel. Your thoughts, your assumptions, your inner speech. You change the reel, and the scene must change. It is inevitable. This is the divine mystery. The world is yourself pushed out. Every person you meet, every circumstance you face, every so-called coincidence. It all arises from the patterns of thought you have entertained, accepted, and sustained. So if you wish to experience new relationships, new opportunities, new wealth, you must first form a new inner self. You must see yourself differently, speak differently, Respond to life as the one who already is that which he desires to be. If you continue to think from the state of lack, you continue to call it into being. Not because you are cursed, but because you are creating. Now hear me clearly. You cannot activate your mind by force or fear. You must do it through rest, through ease, through surrender. This is not about effort in the conventional sense. It is about assuming with such calm conviction that all opposition fades. You move through the world lightly, because you know the work is already done in the unseen. You do not argue with the senses. You do not battle circumstances. You return again and again to the vision held in your imagination, and you live there. You dwell there. You make it your home. And what is true in the inner world must become true in the outer. You must train yourself to feel the joy before the event, to feel the satisfaction before the result, to feel the abundance before the money appears. This is the essence of divine creation. This is what separates the awakened man from the sleeping one. The sleeping man reacts. The awakened man creates. He walks by inner law, not outer facts. He knows the law of consciousness and uses it deliberately. He chooses his thoughts. He selects his emotions. He accepts nothing unless it agrees with the vision he holds. This is the kind of mental discipline that leads to miracles. Do not underestimate the power of repetition. The subconscious accepts through repetition, through feeling, through persistence. If you say, I am wealthy, but feel otherwise, keep saying it, but not with desperation, with certainty. Let the phrase become a rhythm, a melody, until it takes root in the deeper self. And then when you least expect it, the outer world will bend. A phone call, a chance meeting, a new idea, all orchestrated by the unseen hand of your own imagination, responding to the new signal you broadcast. You are broadcasting all the time. The question is not whether you are creating, it's what you're creating. Every thought charged with emotion becomes a decree. Every fear entertained becomes a prayer answered. So why not reverse the pattern? Why not begin to choose deliberately, joyfully, courageously? Instead of expecting problems, expect favor. Instead of anticipating delay, anticipate instant magic. Instead of rehearsing what you don't want, rehearse what you do until it feels so natural that anything else would feel strange.
Do this, once you assume a state and feel it real, the law begins to operate immediately. You may not see results that day or the next, but that means nothing. The seed is already planted. Do not dig it up with doubt. Do not cancel it with contradiction. Remain faithful. Remain still. The longer you persist in a state, the more natural it becomes. And when it becomes natural, it becomes inevitable. The power to manifest anything is not given to a chosen few. It is your birthright. It is not hidden. It is not reserved. It is here, waiting for your recognition. The moment you stop looking outside and turn within, you will feel it, like a quiet flame in the chest, a knowing, a calm certainty that it is done. That feeling, that sacred conviction, is worth more than all the strategies in the world. For once you feel it, the outer must follow. The outer is never first, never. It is always the echo. The cause is consciousness. If you doubt, do not be discouraged. Doubt is simply a suggestion, not a fact. You have the power to reject it, to replace it, to overwrite it. Do not argue with doubt, transcend it. How? By moving into the state of the answered prayer. Feel now what it would feel like if the thing you desire were already yours. Do not just think it, feel it. This is your divine faculty. This is how you activate the mind, not through worry, not through effort, but through bold inner acceptance. You are not here to live by circumstance. You are here to command circumstance, through feeling, through imagination, through the holy act of assumption. And the more you practice this divine art, the more natural it becomes. What once felt like fantasy becomes your norm, and what once felt distant becomes your everyday. You no longer hope, you know. You no longer wait, you dwell. And in this dwelling, all things are drawn to you, because they must be, because the law has no choice, because you have claimed it. Do not mistake silence for absence. The moment you change your inner state, your world begins rearranging itself. It may do so quietly. It may take paths you do not expect, but it will happen. You must be still and trust the law. You must return again and again to the end, the fulfilled desire. That is where your power lies. That is where your creation begins. That is how you activate your mind to manifest anything, by thinking from the end, not of the end. The feeling you cultivate is the magnet, and everything you want is already drawn to you the moment you match its frequency. But you must hold that frequency, not once, not occasionally, consistently, faithfully, joyfully, as if it were your favorite song on repeat. That is how the subconscious accepts. That is how manifestation becomes your daily rhythm. You speak it, you feel it, you live it, and the world reflects it. When the old self rises, when fear knocks, when logic tries to explain why it can't happen, you smile. You do not resist. You return to your vision. You remind yourself who you really are, the operant power, the author, the one who commands reality with imagination. You say, thank you, but that is no longer my truth, and you step back into your new self, into your chosen state. That is how you walk by faith. That is how you reign over the outer world, not by force, but by assumption. So if tonight you wish to change your life, do not change the outer, change the inner. Go into imagination. Create a scene that implies your wish is fulfilled. Enter that scene with feeling. Make it vivid. Make it real. Hear the sounds. Feel the textures. Sense the joy. And do this until it begins to feel natural. And once it does, once you accept it as real, it must express itself. Not by your might, but by the law. Not by effort, but by alignment. Not by struggle, but by faith. Let this become your practice, morning and night, in silence and stillness, until it becomes your second nature, until you no longer react to the world, but create from within, until you no longer seek evidence, but become evidence, until you no longer need permission, because you know you are the permission. The truth is simple. You are already everything you wish to be. You need only to claim it, boldly, persistently, joyfully. The world is waiting for your signal, and the moment you send it, clearly, confidently, without contradiction, the doors open, not because you forced them, but because you finally remembered who you are, because you finally remembered that the outer world is simply clay in the hands of your inner vision. You remembered that the stories you tell yourself become the structures you live within, and now you tell a new story, one of certainty, one of abundance, one of infinite possibility. You do not question how the old dissolves. You simply persist in the new. You do not analyze the root, because you walk by assumption, not logic. You live as though it is already done, and that living is the prayer, the ritual, the alchemy. Your mind is a garden, and your dominant thoughts are the seeds. If you plant thoughts of lack, struggle, or fear, the weeds grow wild. But if you plant thoughts of wealth, love, and ease, your life becomes a blooming field of miracles. And this is not metaphor. It is the law. Imagination creates reality, not some imagination, not random imagination. Your imagination, your felt belief, your assumption. And to activate this mind is simply to turn your attention within, to impress the subconscious with that which you choose to be true. As you persist, the subconscious accepts, and once accepted, it begins to organize everything around you to match. It does not argue. It does not delay out of cruelty. It waits only for your consistency. So many people give up too soon, not because the law failed, but because they wavered between old and new. One day they believe, the next they doubt. One moment they feel it real, the next they fear it won't work. And this is the only thing that breaks the bridge of incidents. This is the only thing that delays the delivery. But you will not waver, because now you know. And once you know, you cannot unknow. The truth has touched you, and it will not let go. From this day on, you move differently. You speak as if it is done. You think from the result. You sleep in the wish fulfilled. You begin and end your day as the version of you who already has it. Not because you're pretending, not because you're playing games, but because you're creating deliberately, lawfully, eternally. If only you understood how powerful you are. If only you could see how every single shift in your inner dialogue creates ripples that move mountains. If only you knew how close you already are to everything you've ever wanted. There is no distance. There is only a veil of belief. And the moment you change belief, you tear the veil, and behind it, the life you've longed for, the love you've dreamed of, the freedom you thought was far away, already here. And so I invite you, no, I urge you, begin tonight. Close your eyes and feel it real. Whatever you desire, imagine what implies it is already yours. Don't force, don't strain, Just allow the scene to unfold. Make it lovely. Make it natural. Make it feel like home. And then dwell there. Visit it again and again. Let it become more real than your current world. And as you do, you will notice something strange. The outer begins to shift. People change. Events align. Paths open. And you smile. Not in surprise, but in recognition. For you remember, you created this. You will no longer wonder if it works. You will no longer seek signs. You are the sign. You will walk through life as the operant power, silently radiating the vibration of your chosen state. And people will ask you, how are you so lucky? How do things always work out for you? And you will know the answer is not luck, but law, not chance, but choice. You have activated your mind. You have taken dominion over your inner world. And in doing so, the outer bends in joyful submission. The old you, the reactive you, the doubting you, the waiting you, is gone, buried in the silence of assumption. And in its place a new self is born. One who does not hope, but knows. One who does not seek, but allows. One who does not plead, but thanks. This is the self that creates worlds. This is the self that walks in constant awareness of truth. And truth is simple. You are the operant power. What you assume to be true, with feeling and persistence, must harden into fact. It does not matter if others see it yet. It does not matter if the world agrees. You are not asking for permission. You are not waiting for proof. You are giving proof to the world, to yourself, to the law. And the law responds, always, exactly, impartially, unfailingly. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. Circumstances are at the mercy of you. You do not need to convince others. You do not need to post your desires online, seeking validation. You need only to dwell in the end. That is the secret. That is the method. That is the key. And once you make the end your home, everything else falls into place. For you are no longer pulled by appearances. You are guided by vision. You are led by knowing. You are moved by the deeper voice within, the voice that whispers, "It is done." And when you wake in the morning, you do not look around to decide how to feel. You decide how to feel, and the world mirrors it back. You do not ask, "What will today bring me?" You declare, "This is what I bring to today." That is the power of an activated mind. That is the life of the conscious creator. And it is your destiny, not someday, not after struggle, but now, the moment you claim it. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to be enlightened. You need only to be consistent. Inner certainty, repeated, becomes external law. Thought, saturated with belief, becomes matter. So don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for conditions to change. Step into the version of yourself who already lives the life you desire. Speak as them, walk as them, breathe as them. This is not make-believe. This is creation. This is manifestation. This is divine law, in motion. If ever you fall back, if fear creeps in, if doubt arises, do not panic. Simply return, gently, quietly, consistently. The truth never left you. You merely stepped away from it. But now you return, like the prodigal son, to the house of fulfillment. And the moment you return, the feast begins. For the universe does not punish. It reflects. It does not delay. It responds. It does not judge. It accepts. You are always welcome back to the state of your choosing. You are always one assumption away from a new reality. You need no tool but imagination. You need no ritual but feeling. You need no proof but your own inner conviction. This is the way. This is the path. This is the divine technology built into your very being. Use it, trust it, live it, and everything you've ever longed for will rush to meet you, not as reward, but as reflection, not as something granted, but something assumed. And in this sacred knowing, you are free. This freedom is not loud. It does not shout from rooftops. It walks quietly, gently, confidently, because it knows it does not need to prove anything. The man who knows he is rich does not talk about money. The woman who knows she is loved does not ask for reassurance. They live from the end. They do not project their desires into the future. They embody them now. That is the greatest power of the activated mind. It does not seek the thing. It becomes it. You no longer strive. You no longer wish. You no longer hope. You move in calm, deliberate conviction. Because once you truly accept a thing is done, the desire for it dissolves. Not because you've lost interest, but because you've taken possession. And when you've taken possession in consciousness, you know it must appear in form. This is the law. It is not complicated. It is not reserved for the few. It is not mystical. It is mechanical. Assumption, sustained with feeling,
must be made manifest. You are now entering a state of divine authorship. You do not chase, you write. You do not ask, you declare. You are no longer the character, tossed about by plot twists. You are the author, writing the next chapter before it happens. And you do this not through effort, but through stillness, through imagination, through the sacred repetition of inner vision. Others may say you're delusional, that you're ignoring reality. Let them. You are not here to defend your vision. You are here to live it.
For what is reality? If not a mirror, a reflection of the dominant assumptions you hold inside. If the mirror shows a face you do not like, you do not scold the mirror. You change your expression. Likewise, when the world shows something unwanted, you do not react. You return within and reimagine. You know that the only creative act is assumption. Everything else is echo. And so day by day you activate deeper levels of your mind, not by force, but by faith. You do not beg your subconscious. You inform it. You do not negotiate with it. You impress it. And the subconscious, like fertile soil, accepts your dominant impression without question. If you impress lack, it gives you lack. If you impress wealth, it gives you wealth. It does not care what is true, it only cares what is believed. This is why belief is the greatest currency in the universe. Not action, not talent, not education. Belief. You could do all the right things and still fail if your inner state says, I am not enough. And you could do very little and still succeed if your inner state says, I am chosen. For the outer follows the inner with unwavering obedience. It has no will of its own. It bends to the image impressed upon it. And when you truly understand this, you no longer fear the world. You master it. You are not a product of your past. You are a product of your assumptions. Your past is only alive to the degree you identify with it. Change your self-concept, and your past dissolves. The identity you hold is the filter through which all life passes. Change that filter, and you change the world you see. If you believe you are unlucky, life will confirm it. If you believe you are blessed, life will rearrange to prove it true. This is why I say, you do not need to wait. The shift can happen in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. If you believe a miracle takes 30 days, it will. If you believe it happens instantly, it can. You are not bound by time. You are bound only by belief. So why not choose the highest? Why not declare, it is done, and feel the thrill of knowing that life has already conspired in your favor? You do not need to see how. You do not need to figure it out. That is not your role. Your role is the assumption, the method, the persistence. The rest belongs to the bridge of incidents, those invisible chains of events that the universe will now organize to bring your assumption to life. And that bridge will not always look the way you expect. It may disguise itself as delay, as loss, as redirection. But do not be fooled. The bridge is perfect. It is leading you precisely where you intend to go. When you feel discouraged, return to the vision. When doubt whispers, what if it doesn't work? Answer silently, but what if it already has? When fear says, you're not ready, remind it, I've already become. This is how you walk by faith, not by sight. This is how you hold the state, even when the senses scream otherwise. And as you hold it, as you dwell in the end, you will see the world shift, not slowly but suddenly, not gradually, but completely. People will return into your life, now treating you as the version you assumed. Money will show up in ways you couldn't predict. Opportunities will appear that feel too perfect to be coincidence. But you will not be surprised. You will smile calmly because you knew. You knew all along. You knew from the moment you said, I will activate my mind. You knew the moment you claimed the new state, that the old had no choice but to fall away. In this knowing, you rest, not in passivity, but in power. You take inspired action, yes, but from a place of fulfillment, not desperation. Your words become clear, calm, confident, because they are not seeking, they are confirming. Your movements become intentional, not rushed, but regal. You do not chase, you magnetize. You do not hustle, you attract. You do not beg, you bless. This is the life of the operant power. This is the life of the awakened soul.
and it is yours, right now, not after more books, not after more proof, not after more waiting, but now in the stillness of this moment. The switch is inside you, the choice is internal, and the result is inevitable. You have stepped into the authority of your divine self. You are no longer reacting to life. You are giving life direction, and life obeys because it must, because it is your servant, not your master. Keep going, keep imagining, keep dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled. The more you return to it, the more natural it becomes. And one day you will forget to try, because you'll simply be. The state will no longer feel foreign. It will be your dwelling place. And from this place, manifestation becomes effortless. Not because you did something, but because you became someone. And that someone, the one who lives in fulfillment, is who you were always meant to be. So I leave you with this. You do not need to become anything. You only need to remember who you are. The operant power, the imaginer, the creator clothed in flesh. The world is not happening to you. It is happening through you. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption is a seed. And now that your mind is activated, you will plant only what you wish to harvest. You will not beg for miracles. You will embody them. You will not hope for change. You will assume the change and watch the world bow in obedience to your inner command. Dare to believe in the unseen. Dare to feel it real. Dare to walk as if your every desire is already yours, because it is. And let the old reality crumble. Let the doubts die. Let the fear fall away. You have entered a new state of being, a new identity, a new world. And from this moment forward, everything must change to reflect the self you have chosen to be. It is done. Now walk in it, live in it, breathe in it, and watch the impossible bow to the one truth that sets you free. Your imagination is God in action.
Everything in this world begins in the imagination. What you call reality is nothing more than the shadow cast by your inner assumptions. To act as if you are going to have everything and then watch it appear, this is not magic, this is law, the law of assumption. The eternal truth that what you assume to be true, whether good, bad, small or grand, must in time harden into fact. You do not need to struggle for what is already yours by divine right. You only need to assume it is so, and live as though it were already done. Do not wait for the world to confirm your vision. The world reflects, it does not initiate. Act as if you're going to have everything. Not with arrogance, but with the deep peace that comes from knowing who you really are. You are not a beggar in this world. You are not waiting on fate or fortune. You are not at the mercy of events. You are the operant power. You are the cause of what you see, not the effect. And when you accept this responsibility, when you dare to believe that your imagination creates your reality, then you are free. Now let us understand something vital. It is not enough to want. You must live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That is the secret. That is the great mystery, hidden in plain sight. Most people want, but they do not feel that they already have. They hope, but they do not assume. They desire, but they do not believe. And yet it is belief, pure, persistent, embodied belief, that makes all things possible. So I ask you now, what would you do if you knew everything you desired was on its way? How would you walk? How would you breathe? What would your tone of voice be? What thoughts would you entertain? What habits would you leave behind? Not because you're trying to be better, but because they no longer fit the version of you that already has everything. If you knew the end was certain, would you still doubt? Would you still speak of lack? Would you still compare yourself to others? You see, the game changes when you know that the outcome is fixed by your assumption. Not a blind assumption, but an embodied one. One that saturates your inner conversations, that lives in your emotional tone, that seeps into your dreams. To act as if is to live in the consciousness of already being the person you want to become. It is not pretending. Pretending is shallow. Pretending knows it's not real. Acting as if means embodying the truth of your desire as though it were a memory. You don't struggle to remember something that happened yesterday. You simply recall it. So too must you recall the feeling of the thing desired, as though it already happened. Suppose you want wealth. Then do not ask for wealth. Do not beg for wealth. Do not even wait for wealth. Assume wealth. Walk in it. Rest in it. Let the world catch up to your inner state. Let the bank account reflect what your imagination already knows.
Your imagination is the womb of creation. It is the divine faculty through which God expresses in man. And when you dwell in the end, meaning when you persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, you have set the process of creation in motion. It is not your job to know how it will come. That's where so many lose their power. They try to force the means, to manipulate the process. But I tell you, the means will come of their own accord. Your only task is to live in the end. When you act as if you're going to have everything, and you truly feel that reality within you, the bridge of incidents will unfold naturally. You'll meet someone. An idea will come. A door will open. But none of these things are the cause. They are only the result. The world is your mirror, and the mirror cannot smile first. You must smile first, and then the reflection appears. In the same way, the world cannot bring you your desire until you first bring it into your inner world. That is the law. That is the secret behind every miracle, every transformation, every fulfilled dream. Now listen closely. You must assume persistently, not just once in a meditation, not just while visualizing, but throughout your day, in the midst of conversations, as you walk down the street, as you lie in bed at night. You must saturate yourself with the feeling that it is already done. You must carry yourself like one who is already crowned with victory, and not for show, but for real. For you know something the world does not. You know that imagination creates reality. This is not fantasy. This is the creative act. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to impress upon your subconscious mind a new pattern. And the subconscious does not argue. It does not analyze. It accepts whatever you persistently feel as true. Whether it's fear or faith, lack or abundance, sickness or health, the subconscious molds your world in its image. Therefore, become aware of what you're feeding your subconscious. Become vigilant of your inner speech. For what you whisper to yourself day after day becomes the script of your life. Do not say, "I'll never have enough." Say, "Everything I need is already mine." Do not say, "Why does it take so long?" Say, "It's already done." Replace doubt with knowing. Replace effort with assumption. Replace striving with trust. You don't need to push the river. You only need to align with its current. And that current is your belief. What you believe about yourself is what you will live. And belief is nothing more than an assumption repeated so often. It becomes second nature. When you act as if you're going to have everything, you give yourself permission to live from the end. And that is the true mark of power. Not force, but faith. Not trying but knowing. Not hoping, but assuming. And as you persist, your outer world rearranges itself to reflect your new state of being. It may not happen overnight, but it must happen. For the law cannot be broken. According to your faith be it unto you. Faith is not blind. It is imaginative. It sees what the eyes cannot. It touches what the hands have not yet held. And it walks boldly, because it knows who the author of life really is. You are not separate from the source of your desires. You are not a servant begging for crumbs. You are a son, a daughter of the Most High. The kingdom is within you. And when you claim that kingdom, when you assume its riches, its beauty, its power, you call it forth into the visible world. Now let us return again to the principle. If you act as if you're going to have everything, you must be willing to let go of the version of yourself that doubts, the version that fears, the version that compares and complains and waits for signs. You must leave it behind like an old garment, and put on the new man, the man who already has, the woman who already is. This is the great act of imagination, to clothe yourself in the feeling of your fulfilled desire. And you must do this without conditions. Not "I'll believe it when I see it," but "I believe it, therefore I'll see it." Not "I'll feel abundant when my account is full," but "I feel abundant, therefore my account will reflect it." You reverse the order of cause and effect. You become the cause and the world responds. There is no power outside of your consciousness. There is no other creator. Your world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, if you change your assumption, you change your world. It's that simple. And yet it requires courage. Courage to believe when the evidence says otherwise. Courage to persist when nothing seems to change. Courage to declare, "It is done," and then rest in that knowing. The moment you act as if it is done, you shift your timeline. You align with the version of you who has it all. And from that moment on, everything conspires to bring you face to face with your assumption. People will change. Circumstances will shift. Paths will open. But do not look to the world for confirmation. Look within. That is where the change began. And that is where it is sustained. You are always acting on some assumption. The question is, what are you assuming now? Are you assuming things are hard? Are you assuming nothing ever works out for you? Then that too shall appear. But if you act as if you are loved, successful, wealthy, inspired, if you feel that as your reality, regardless of what the eyes see, then that too must come to pass. Do not wait for proof. Be the proof. Do not wait for change. Be the change. Do not wait for the world to give you permission. Claim what is already yours in imagination. That is where all creation begins. So tonight, as you lie in bed, do not drift into sleep thinking of what is missing. Think only of what is already yours. Fall asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let your last thought be one of victory. Let your dream be colored with the tones of fulfillment. For as you sleep, the seed you have planted in imagination will take root, and in time it will bloom. You do not need to know how. You only need to know that it is done, and walk in that knowing. Talk in that knowing. Think from that knowing. And the world, like a faithful servant, will reflect your assumption back to you in ways you could not have planned. Act as if you're going to have everything, not because you're trying to trick the universe, but because you understand the law. Because you know that what you assume to be true becomes your experience, and because you trust the divine power within you to bring all things to pass. This is not wishful thinking. This is spiritual law. This is your inheritance. Claim it boldly. Live from it daily. And watch, just watch, how everything you ever desired begins to appear, not as a miracle but as the natural consequence of your inner state. Now go into the silence, and assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Do it with love. Do it with joy. Do it with certainty. And watch how the universe rearranges itself in your favor. It always has. It always will. Do not concern yourself with what the world says is realistic. Realism is the creed of those who have forgotten the creative power within. It is not your job to adjust your desire to fit the facts. It is your job to assume the facts will conform to your desire. And they will. For the truth is this: what you accept as true within you becomes true outside of you. Not through struggle, not through force, but through natural, inevitable divine law. If you persist in the feeling of already being, already having, already living in your desired state, then the outer world must follow. It is not optional. It is not a matter of luck or fate. It is the result of the only true cause, your own consciousness. Therefore, take your attention off what you see and place it upon what you know to be true within. The eyes of the flesh may lie, but the eyes of imagination never do. Imagination shows you not what is but what can be, and more importantly what must be when you accept it as so. So many say, I'm trying, and yet they do not see. But trying is not assuming. Trying still holds doubt. Trying is effort, and effort implies separation. But assumption is still. Assumption is faith. Assumption is knowing. And it is only when you enter that state of knowing, that inner peace, that confident expectancy, that the world bends in your favor. You do not have to be perfect. You do not have to master every thought. You simply have to return, again and again, to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. When fear knocks, return to the feeling. When delay appears, return to the feeling. When doubt arises, return again. Persist. That is the only requirement. Persistence in the assumption. And if you do that, the bridge of incidents will unfold in ways you could never script. The right people will show up. The timing will align. What once seemed impossible will become inevitable. Now let me tell you something most overlooked. The assumption must feel natural. It must become so familiar, so habitual that anything less feels strange. And that comes through repetition, through inner rehearsal, through soaking yourself in the vision of already having. You walk in it. You breathe it. You dream in it. You speak from it. You no longer ask, when will it happen? Instead, you rest in the peace that it already has. This is how the great ones have always lived. They saw what others could not see. They believed in what was invisible. And they acted not from hope but from assumption. And so their worlds transformed to match. You too must do the same. You must be the one who dares to believe even when others call it foolish. You must be the one who holds the end in mind when the means look missing. Because the one who lives in the end has already won. And life must mirror that inner victory. Your power is in your decision to assume. And assumption is a quiet act. It doesn't shout. It doesn't plead. It simply accepts. And what it accepts, it receives. The mind may doubt. The senses may contradict, but you stay in the state. That is your work. You may go to your job, speak with friends, handle daily duties, but all the while the inner state remains. You carry the knowing like a secret treasure in your chest, and that knowing radiates through everything you do. People will sense something different. They may not know what it is, but they'll feel it. Because when you walk in assumption, your world becomes magnetic. What you are within calls to itself without, even if nothing appears to change for a time. Do not waver. You are not looking for signs, you are resting in fulfillment. The seed does not sprout the moment it is planted, but beneath the soil life is stirring. So too your desire is germinating in the unseen. Keep it alive through your assumption. Keep it watered with your belief. And when the moment is ripe, the harvest will come. Every great manifestation is born this way. It is not sudden. It is the result of an inner reality that has been assumed again and again until it becomes natural. So do not be discouraged by appearances. Appearances are the last to change. The root must be formed before the fruit appears. The unseen must take shape before the visible can reflect it. Your only task is to remain faithful to the vision, to live in it, to breathe it in. And when others ask how you can be so calm, so confident, so certain, you will smile, for you know something they do not. You know that reality follows imagination. You know that consciousness is the only cause. You know that acting as if is not deception but alignment with the greater truth. You will find that as you persist in the feeling, your desires no longer feel far away. They begin to feel inevitable. They begin to feel like memories from the future. You no longer chase. You no longer plead. You simply walk in the state of already having, and everything rearranges to meet you there. You may wonder, is it really that simple? Yes, it is. But simplicity is often overlooked, because the mind craves complexity. The mind wants to do, to figure out, to control. But the creative act is one of surrender, of assuming the end and trusting the process. And the process is governed by law. What you assume must be, and the world will not disappoint. So act as if you're going to have everything. And do it with joy. Do it with gratitude. Do it with faith that what you are seeing within is more real than what you see without. The world is not your master. It is your mirror. It reflects always the contents of your consciousness. And as you persist in the assumption that you are already in possession of your desire, the mirror must reflect that image. You will see evidence, little things at first, synchronicities, ideas, changes in people's behavior, doors opening where before there were only walls. But don't cling to the signs. Let them come and go. Stay in the state. Stay in the knowing. Stay in the feeling that it is already done. You don't have to convince anyone else. This is your inner world, your secret place. The law does not require permission or approval. It requires only your assumption. So assume boldly, assume joyfully, assume quietly. And as you do, you'll discover something wonderful. That the universe is far more responsive than you ever imagined. That life is not against you, but is simply reflecting your own inner dialogue. Change that dialogue, and you change your world. Now is the time to let go of waiting. Waiting keeps you in the state of lack. Begin to live from the end now. Let every choice, every action, every thought be informed by the version of you who already has it all. And from this place you will move differently. You will speak differently. You will make decisions not from fear but from abundance. And that shift will change everything. Your assumption must become your identity. Not a mask. Not a performance but a true embodiment of the state desired. You must become the one who already has. You must fuse with that self in imagination, until there is no separation between who you are and who you want to be. And when you do that, reality has no choice. It will conform.
Persist. Continue. Assume again. Let the inner vision become more real than the outer facts. Let the feeling of having be the atmosphere you live in. And in time, the outer world will catch up with your inner conviction. It must, for it is law. You are not asking for something to come to you. You are walking as though it already has. This is the divine secret. You are not the beggar at the gate. You are the one who holds the key. You need not plead, nor chase, nor strive. You need only assume. The assumption is the birth of the new reality. In that moment of true acceptance, of silent knowing, something shifts. Reality bends inward. The world starts to organize itself according to your belief.
not because it is impressed by your want, but because it must mirror your inner state. Watch how your speech changes when you truly believe you already have what you once longed for. No more asking, how will it come? No more entertaining doubts. Instead, your words reflect confidence. I already am. I already have. It is mine. And this shift in conversation, especially the silent conversation you hold with yourself, alters the vibration of your being. You are no longer resonating with lack, but with fulfillment. And fulfillment draws its own reflection. You walk differently when you feel rich. You look others in the eye differently when you feel chosen, successful, wanted, and whole. It's not arrogance. It's not delusion. It is the natural confidence that comes from knowing that everything is unfolding perfectly in your favor, and that knowing is your superpower. It magnetizes circumstances, opportunities, people. They come not because you chase, but because you attract. This is not philosophy, it is law. The law of assumption tells us that your outer world must reflect your inner convictions. It cannot do otherwise. If you dare to persist in the assumption that you are already the one you wish to be, the world will mirror that truth back to you, down to the finest detail. You will see your reflection in the events of the day, in the people you meet, in the unexpected turns of fortune. And none of it will surprise you, because deep down, you already knew it had to happen. You accepted it before it arrived. You may think, but I don't feel it all the time. That is all right. Return to the feeling, gently, quietly. Do not force it. Invite it. Let it wash over you like warm light. The more you dwell in that state, the more natural it becomes, until one day you'll realize that the feeling has taken root. It is now your default. You don't have to conjure it. It lives in you. And from that place, your life will begin to move in rhythm with your inner certainty. You must remember, there is no power outside of your consciousness. The world is not acting independently. It is only responding to the seed you plant within. So plant wisely, plant with intention, imagine with precision, and then assume the feeling of that fulfilled state, as if it were already yours, because it is. In the mind of God, in the realm of the unseen, it is already complete. Your job is simply to bring it into visibility by assuming it so. The world cannot resist the energy of the one who knows. There is a calmness in that kind of certainty, a magnetic force. People sense it. They are drawn to it. Circumstances bend to it. And this is not something you create through effort. It is something you allow by surrendering to the feeling. Feel as though it is done, and it will be done. All things begin in imagination. It is the womb of reality. And what you continually dwell upon in imagination becomes clothed in fact. So stop waiting for the world to change and begin living as though it already has. Your assumptions harden into facts, not because you force them into existence, but because you live them internally long enough for them to externalize. You may be tempted to ask, but what if nothing happens? That question arises from doubt. Doubt is the thief. Doubt interrupts the flow of manifestation. But faith is the bridge. Faith walks forward with no visible proof, trusting that the invisible is more real than the visible. And faith always rewards itself. Act as if you're going to have everything, not because you're trying to fool the universe, but because you're aligning with the deepest truth of your being, that you are already whole, already powerful, already chosen, already loved, already abundant. And as you embody that truth, the world will conform. You don't need to explain this to anyone. Let your results speak for themselves. Let your life become the evidence of the unseen. Those who once doubted you will be the first to ask how you did it. And you will smile, for you will know it was not effort, not struggle, not pleading, but assumption. The only reason things remain unmanifested is because we continue to dwell in the state of not having. We think of the desire instead of from it, and so it remains at a distance. But when you shift, when you move into the state of already having, it rushes toward you. The outer cannot help but reflect the inner. That is the law. Even in the silence, something is happening. Even when it seems like nothing is moving, everything is moving. Reality is rearranging itself in the unseen to match your assumption. So be still, be faithful, and above all, be consistent. Do not dip in and out of belief. Let your inner world remain unwavering. Then watch as the outer begins to echo your inner truth. You are not here to earn your desires. You are here to accept them. Grace is not given to the worthy, it is given to the receptive. You are worthy because you exist. You are deserving because you imagine. And what you imagine, you become. So imagine wisely, assume lavishly, walk boldly, and know that as you act as if you're going to have everything, you are inviting the universe to do what it was always ready to do. Fulfill your every assumption. You see, life is not reacting to your effort, it is responding to your consciousness. It is not about how hard you work or how many hours you toil. It is about the story you silently tell yourself, the role you cast yourself in, the scene you repeat in the theater of your mind. That is the root. And from that root grows the fruit of your experience. So instead of working harder, assume more deeply. Instead of chasing outcomes, embody their essence. Feel now what you imagine you would feel then. And by doing so, you collapse time. You dissolve delay. You bring the future into the present. Everything that is to come is already within you in seed form. And the only condition for its flowering is your willingness to persist in the assumption that it already is. That is why I tell you, do not beg, do not hope, do not wish, assume. Live from the end, speak from the end, think from the end, and let your every gesture, your every step, reflect the inner assurance that you are already living the life you once longed for. If it is love you desire, assume you are already cherished. Feel what it is like to be seen, heard, adored. And do not look outside for confirmation. Let that feeling grow within. If it is wealth you seek, assume you are already prosperous. Feel the peace, the freedom, the security that comes from knowing you are always provided for. If it is health, assume you are already whole. Feel the strength, the ease, the vibrancy of a fully restored body. Whatever it is, embody it now. You do not wait for the world to give you permission. You give the world instruction through your inner state. The moment you act as if, you issue a command, and the world listens. It does not argue. It does not delay. It simply reflects. And the more real your assumption becomes, the more vivid your imagination, the faster it appears. This is not fantasy. It is fidelity to the unseen. Every great teacher has pointed to this truth in their own way. As you believe, so shall it be done unto you. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. According to your faith, be it unto you. These are not poetic verses. They are blueprints for manifestation. They are the very mechanics of creation. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot dwell in doubt and expect fulfillment. You must choose the state you will live in and remain faithful to it. When you falter, and you will return to the feeling, do not criticize yourself. Do not condemn your humanity. Simply return, gently, persistently, as often as necessary, until the feeling becomes familiar, until it becomes your home. Then it will feel stranger to doubt than to believe. That is when manifestation accelerates. The world around you will begin to whisper confirmation, a word overheard, a sudden opportunity, a chance meeting. These are not coincidences. They are echoes of your assumption. They are the first fruits. Do not ignore them. Do not dismiss them. Rejoice in them. They are signs of alignment. And if you remain steady, more will follow. Bigger, brighter, bolder, until the life you once imagined is the life you are living. Acting as if is not pretending. It is not play acting. It is entering the state of consciousness that matches your desire. It is tuning yourself to the frequency of the thing wished for. You become a vibrational match to it, and it cannot help but find you. This is the divine mathematics, the spiritual law. Your inner speech becomes your outer world. Your assumptions become your evidence. And everything begins to happen, not by force, but by rightness. When you truly assume, there is no desperation. There is no neediness. There is only calm expectation, a quiet joy, a knowing smile, because you understand that the invisible always precedes the visible. You do not need to check for signs. You are the sign. Your state is the evidence, and the world is simply catching up to your vibration. Do not speak of what you lack. Do not rehearse the old story. Let it go. Burn it. Lay it to rest, and write a new one in the sanctuary of your mind. In this new story, you are powerful. You are radiant. You are adored. You are wealthy. You are free. Tell it to yourself every day, not with force but with love, until your inner world becomes so rich, so vivid, so saturated with the feeling of your wish fulfilled, that reality must obey. People will wonder how you did it. They will not understand that the change occurred long before the evidence appeared. They will not see the countless inner rehearsals, the silent acts of assumption, the secret knowing you carried inside. But you will know. You will remember the moment you stopped hoping and started living as if. The moment you stopped chasing and started assuming. That was the moment everything turned. This world is not solid. It is malleable, responsive, alive. It listens to you, not your words but your state. It is not impressed by affirmations spoken from doubt. It is moved by the assumption felt as real. That is the real prayer. Not the words you speak, but the state you dwell in. Dwell in the state of answered prayer. Let that be your reality. And soon the world will respond with visible proof, not as a reward, but as a mirror. So I urge you, if you want to see everything appear, act as if, not for 5 minutes, not when it's convenient, but as a way of being. Let every thought, every movement, every breath, carry the tone of fulfillment. Walk through life as though it is done, as though every door is open, as though the heavens have already declared your victory. And they have. But you must declare it too, within. No one else can do this for you. No one else can imagine for you. No one else can assume your state. This is your work, and yet it is the most joyous work you will ever do. Because once you truly assume, the effort is over. The striving ends. You are no longer trying to make it happen. You are letting it unfold, and unfold it must. You are not the victim of fate. You are the author of destiny, and your pen is imagination. Your ink is feeling. Write a new chapter, one of triumph, of abundance, of love, and live as though that chapter has already been published in the book of life, because it has. In the unseen, it is finished. In the visible, it is unfolding, and you are the bridge between those two realms. So I leave you with this: do not wait to see it before you believe it. Believe it, and you will surely see it. Walk today in the assumption that what you desire is already yours. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now, let your world conform to the boldness of your inner conviction. Let the unseen become your foundation. Let imagination be your compass, and feeling be your guide. There is no power outside of you that determines your fate. It is you, the operant power, the divine dreamer, who molds this world with your assumptions. So act as if you are already blessed, already chosen, already successful, and the world will echo your truth. You are not here to react. You are here to create. You are not here to wish. You are here to assume. And when you act as if you already have everything, the universe bows before your certainty and gives you everything and more. Live from the end, and the end will live through you.
Tonight I will teach you how to ask the universe. Not in desperation, not in pleading, not as a beggar before a mighty force, but as a creator, speaking into the formless, commanding it to take shape. You have been taught to pray in words, to wish and to hope. But I will show you how to ask in a language the universe always understands: feeling. You see, there is no distance between you and what you desire. There is no delay, no separation, except that which you place between yourself and your manifestation by the assumption that it is yet to come. When you ask, you are not to cry out into the void, hoping someone hears you. You are to enter the state of the wish fulfilled, and from that place, the universe bends to your command. The secret is not in the words you utter, but in the vibration you offer. You are always asking, not with your mouth, but with your state of consciousness. Now let me tell you something radical. You do not ask the universe for something you want. You ask the universe by becoming the one who already has it. The true asking is not outward, it is inward. It is identification. To ask rightly is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled so completely that you forget it was ever a wish. You live from it, not toward it. When I say ask the universe, I do not mean you must look to the stars or speak to some distant deity. I mean you must speak to yourself, for you are the universe made flesh. Your imagination is God. Your consciousness is the center from which your world is projected. When you assume a thing to be true within your imagination and remain loyal to that assumption, the world must rearrange itself to reflect it. So how do you ask? You ask by becoming. You ask by entering a state. Suppose you desire wealth. Then you do not ask for wealth as a poor man. You become wealth in your mind. You sleep as one who is rich. You walk as one who is rich. You feel the security, the freedom, the confidence of one whose bank account is overflowing. You assume that identity, and the universe, being obedient, reflects it back to you. There is no mystery here. You have done this all your life, only unconsciously. Every fear you have entertained, every worry you have nursed, every doubt you have accepted, these have all been prayers, unconscious requests to the universe. And the universe, never failing, has delivered. It has always said yes to your dominant state. You have been told, ask and it is given. But you were not told how to ask. I am telling you now, to ask is to feel. To ask is to dwell in the end. You must cease looking at the world through the lens of what is and begin to live from what you desire, as though it already is. This is not madness. This is the method. The world responds to your inner speech. It echoes your inner conversations. Every moment, your assumptions shape reality. If you are ill, and you ask for health while dwelling in the state of illness, you perpetuate the illness. If you are lonely, and you ask for companionship while feeling unlovable, you sustain your solitude. The universe does not respond to your words. It responds to your state. Your feeling is the asking. And what is feeling? It is not emotion alone, but a deep inner conviction, a knowing that it is done. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, it matters not what your senses report. They may show the opposite, but you will remain unmoved, for your faith is not in what you see. It is in what you know within. You must dare to live in the invisible. That is the great secret. All creation begins in the unseen. The visible is only the echo. To ask the universe, then, is to become pregnant with your desire, to carry it within you, to nourish it with belief, until it is born into the world. Do not concern yourself with the how. The how is not your domain. That belongs to the intelligence that sustains galaxies and grows flowers. Your only task is the assumption. When you assume that your desire is already yours, and you remain faithful to that assumption, all things necessary for its fulfillment will be drawn to you. You do not need to manipulate, to struggle, to strive. You need only to feel it real. This is not passive. This is divine law. A seed does not strive to become a tree. It simply knows what it is. It holds within itself the image of its fulfillment. So too must you hold within yourself the image of your desire, and clothe it with feeling. Let me give you an example. A man comes to me and says he desires to travel the world, but he has no money. I do not tell him to get a job or to wait. I tell him to go there in imagination. I tell him to walk the streets of Paris in his mind, to breathe the air of Rome, to feel the breeze of the Aegean on his face. I tell him to fall asleep in that feeling. And when he does, when he truly feels he is already there, the world shifts. Perhaps he meets someone who offers him a ticket. Perhaps a job opportunity appears. The means are many, but the cause was within. This is how you ask. Not in hope, but in certainty. Not in need, but in fulfillment. You must enter the state of your answered prayer. You must become what you seek. The universe will not deny you, for it is yourself pushed out. There is no other. When you ask rightly, you do not repeat affirmations like a parrot. You speak them as one who knows. I am wealthy, you say, not as a wish, but as a fact. I am loved, you declare, not to convince yourself, but to remind yourself. The tone is everything. The feeling behind the words is the prayer. And if the feeling seems difficult to reach, persist. For the imagination, like a muscle, grows with use. Perhaps at first it is only a flicker, but the more you dwell in the feeling, the more it solidifies. What once seemed like fantasy becomes natural, and what is natural becomes inevitable. You are not asking for a thing. You are declaring your identity. And from identity, all things flow. If you want to be successful, do not ask for success. Assume the feeling of one who is already successful.
What does he feel when he rises in the morning? What does she think when she walks into a room? What is the posture, the inner dialogue, the confidence? Take it on. Wear it in your imagination until it wears you. You are always assuming something. Let it now be something noble. You are always asking something. Let it now be something magnificent. Ask as God would ask, not timidly, not tentatively, but boldly, creatively, faithfully. The world is not fixed. It is clay in your hands. Mold it with your assumptions. Shape it with your feeling. Speak to it from the end. You are not here to react. You are here to create. Do not wait for the world to change. Change your concept of yourself, and the world must follow. This is the law. It is immutable, impersonal and perfect. It responds not to effort, but to alignment. To ask is to align. To ask is to embody. You are not attracting a thing from afar. You are revealing what is already within you. The treasure is buried in the field of your own consciousness. So tonight go within. Enter the theater of your mind. See yourself as you wish to be. And more than see, feel it. Hear the congratulations. Smell the scent of success. Touch the fabric of your dream. Taste the joy of its realization. Dwell in that scene until it becomes your dwelling place. And then let go. Not into doubt, but into peace. Knowing it is done. The universe is a mirror. It reflects your deepest convictions. It cannot give you what you do not first give yourself. So ask not by pleading, but by assuming. Ask not by striving, but by resting in the state of the fulfilled desire. This is how the universe is moved. Not by action alone, but by the silent decree of the inner man. He who knows how to feel it real, knows how to ask. And he who asks in this way shall never be denied. Now you know. You have been given the key. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it persistently. For the world you see tomorrow will be the result of what you ask tonight. So ask, but ask in the language the universe understands. Ask in faith. Ask in feeling. Ask in the assumption that you already have it. And then live as though you do. That is the only prayer that is ever answered. And the only question the universe is always listening for. As you dwell in this sacred assumption, know that your mind becomes the workshop of God. Each thought, clothed in belief, is a living seed. And the womb of the universe, ever fertile, does not question whether the seed is good or bad. It simply receives. That is why your persistent state is your true prayer. You can speak endlessly of what you desire. But if your innermost conviction is lack, then lack is what is born. When you ask rightly the moment you assume the state, you begin to see evidence. Not always immediately, and not always visibly, but internally. The texture of your consciousness begins to shift. You begin to see differently, to hear differently, to walk through the world as though you are already the one you imagined. And this new version of you attracts not by force, but by resonance. You meet people who reflect your new belief. Opportunities arise that would have passed you by in your old state. It is not coincidence, it is law. You must come to see every circumstance, not as something happening to you, but as something issuing forth from you. This may offend the ego, but it is liberating to the spirit. To ask the universe is to assume responsibility for your inner state. It is to cease blaming the world, and to begin commanding it, quietly inwardly, with the unwavering confidence of one who knows that reality bends to consciousness.
There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when your senses shout louder than your vision, when the evidence seems absent. But I tell you, persist. The law does not fail. You are not to be moved by appearances. You are to remain faithful to the end you have declared. If you return to the old state, you return to the old world. Remain loyal to the unseen, and the unseen will become seen. Now I ask you to examine yourself, not in guilt or shame, but in awareness. What have you been asking for truly? What states have you been occupying? Have you lived in the end of your desire, or have you merely hoped from the beginning? To ask the universe is not to place a request and wait. It is to become the answer now. It is to live as if the wish were fulfilled, and to make that inner world so vivid that the outer must yield. Imagination is not idle fantasy. It is the creative act itself. The world you see is the condensation of imagination. Everything man has ever achieved began first as a thought clothed in feeling. So why not you? Why not now? If you can assume it, you can receive it. If you can feel it, you can see it. This is not metaphor. This is how creation works. The great error is to believe that circumstances dictate your reality. They do not. Circumstances are effects, not causes. The cause is within, and the way you change the cause is by changing the assumption. You ask, when will it happen? And I say to you, when you feel it is already done. That is the true timeline, not days or weeks, but states and shifts. Do not make asking a ritual. Do not turn it into a practice of striving. The universe is not moved by your repetition, but by your realization. One moment of true assumption is more powerful than years of hoping. When you feel it real, the seed is planted. Remain in that feeling, and it must grow. You have asked before, but you have asked amiss. Hoping, begging, doubting. I am telling you now, ask as one who creates, not as one who wishes. Ask as God within, not as man without. Feel the truth of your desire now, and all things must align. This is not magic. It is law, not fiction, but function. When you walk tomorrow, let every step be taken as the one you have become. When you speak, let your words reflect your new identity. Let the inner talk be that of the fulfilled man or woman. This is how you reinforce the state. This is how you dwell in the end. If the old world shows up again, do not fight it. Simply return to the state. Withdraw your attention from the facts that no longer serve you, and place it back on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You are not denying reality. You are creating it anew. You are not ignoring facts. You are changing them at their root. This is the greatest privilege of man, to ask the universe not as a servant, but as a son, to say I am, and to know that whatever follows those words becomes flesh. You are not here to suffer the world's judgments. You are here to speak your world into existence. You are here to declare the end and let the means arise. As you begin to live this way, you will find a joy, a lightness, a freedom that no external condition could ever give you. You will realize that the treasure was never outside of you. It was always in the act of assuming, of feeling, of becoming. The riches of the world will chase the man who lives from the end. The opportunities, the relationships, the abundance, they are not rewards, but reflections. Ask then by inhabiting your dream. Walk through it. Feel its weight, its beauty, its reality. Speak from it, not toward it. And when the world contradicts you, smile, not in defiance, but in certainty. For you have seen the end, and it is good. Remain faithful. That is your only task. Not to make it happen, not to scheme or force the outcome, but to remain loyal to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The law does not operate by partial belief. A wavering assumption yields a wavering result. But one who remains unmoved in the face of contradiction, who clings inwardly to the truth of the unseen, will see it solidify before them. It must. The outer is slave to the inner. You must now begin to ask differently. When you rise in the morning, do not look to the world to show you who you are. Declare who you are before the world has a chance. Set the tone. Begin in the end. If you are wealthy, you do not check your bank balance to determine how to feel. You feel wealthy, and the bank balance must follow. If you are loved, you do not wait for someone to text you first. You dwell in the knowing that you are irresistible, and life mirrors that confidence. Do you see? You are the root cause of your experience. This power is not given to the few. It is the inheritance of all, but few use it consciously. Most ask by default, through fear, through habit, through reaction, and so their lives repeat themselves, variations of the same theme. But you are now awake. You will no longer ask from the state of lack, but from the state of fullness. And this shift changes everything. When you understand that every moment is a seed, you begin to choose more carefully. You begin to ask not from worry, but from vision. You become selective in your thoughts, deliberate in your feeling, and disciplined in your attention. And this is not effort, it is clarity. You become the master of your world, because you have mastered the inner world first. Your imagination is sacred. Guard it. Fill it with the scenes you desire to experience. Let your mind be a temple of fulfilled dreams. Do not let idle images of failure or fear dwell there. Evict them with the light of assumption. Replace them with visions of success, love, joy. Every moment you do this, you are asking. Every moment you sustain it, you are receiving.
Understand this deeply. The universe does not operate on fairness, but on law. And the law is this: according to your faith, be it unto you, not according to your hard work, or your virtue or your worthiness, but according to your faith, your assumption, your inner state. That is what creates. When the world seems slow to respond, check your inner dialogue. Are you still assuming the end, or have you begun to doubt again? The delay is never denial. It is always a signal to return inward, to refine the state, to deepen the conviction. The more real it becomes within, the more irresistible it becomes without. This is the art of asking. It is not a one-time request. It is a continuous occupancy. You must occupy the state like one who belongs there. If you wish to be free, feel free. If you wish to be admired, feel admired. You may not know how it will unfold, but that is not your concern. The how is the universe's delight. Your role is the what and the who. What do you want? Who are you now that you have it? The new man must rise within you. The old man bound by appearances must fade. You cannot serve both. One must go. Either you cling to what your senses report, or you live by the inner knowing that all things are already yours. You cannot straddle the fence. The law demands allegiance. So walk boldly. Walk as the man or woman you have chosen to be. Speak from that place. Think from that place. Rest in that place. And as you do, you will notice the world take on the shape of your thoughts. People will treat you differently. Opportunities will open. Things once difficult will unfold with ease. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. This is the mystery made simple. You do not wait for evidence to believe. You believe, and evidence appears. The novice waits. The master creates. The novice reacts. The master creates. The master assumes. And assumption is the only true act of creation. So you must be vigilant, not anxious but aware. When a fearful thought arises, ask yourself, what am I asking for in this moment? If the answer is not aligned with your true desire, change it, replace it, return to the end. This is not denial, it is dominion. You are not asking as a stranger to the universe. You are its very center. The world you experience is not happening to you. It is happening through you, through your beliefs, through your assumptions, through your silent prayers. Every scene, every character, every turn of fate is responding to your inner command. You have spoken all of it into existence. Ask boldly, therefore. Ask with imagination. Ask with faith. Ask with the joy of knowing that what you feel is real now must manifest. Do not ask timidly. Do not test the law. Live it. Do not seek signs. They will follow your conviction. The sign comes after the assumption, not before. When it comes, when the phone rings, when the opportunity knocks, when the miracle arrives, do not be surprised. Say, of course, for you knew it was done when you assumed it. That is the level of certainty that moves mountains. That is the vibration that births worlds. And so I say to you now, with finality and power, ask no more with your lips, ask with your life. Let your very breath declare, it is done. Let your every step be steeped in the feeling of your fulfilled desire. Refuse to beg from the outside when the kingdom is within. Refuse to be shaken by appearances when your inner world is law. You are not a servant pleading for scraps. You are the operant power, the very expression of divine imagination, made flesh. Do not walk out of this moment the same. You have heard the truth. You are the cause. You are the one the universe has been waiting for. Not to plead, but to assume. Not to wish, but to know. Let every thought from this moment forward be an act of creation. Let every feeling affirm the world you desire. And when you forget, when fear creeps in, do not despair. Simply remember who you are and return to the end. The universe is not listening for your words. It is responding to your state. Change the state, and the world must obey. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and all of heaven rushes to support you. That is how you ask. That is how you receive. That is how you create the life you were born to live. Now go forth not as one who hopes, but as one who knows.
Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe deeply, gently, as if you had all the time in the world, because you do. For time is merely the unfolding of what you already are. And if you truly understood what you are, what you've always been, you would stop striving, you would stop struggling. You would relax, you would lean back into the loving arms of the infinite, and allow all things to be drawn to you by the silent currents of assumption. There is a secret most people will never understand. They live by effort. They believe that if they do not push, strive, fight, they will have nothing. They believe manifestation is a matter of force, of will, of grinding action. But this is not how creation occurs. It never has been. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you desire was first imagined. It was felt before it was seen, and it was received not through struggle, but through surrender. Let me tell you something marvelous. You are the operant power. You are not at the mercy of the world. The world is at the mercy of your inner conversations, your assumptions, your imaginal acts. But here's the key. The law does not work through anxiety, through pressure, through desperation. It works through faith, ease, stillness. Relaxation is not passivity, it is power. To relax is to trust the unseen. To relax is to believe that it is done. When you lie back in the chair of imagination and close your eyes, you are entering the throne room of God. And who is God? God is your own wonderful human imagination. That which you dare to assume to be true, if persisted in, must come to pass. You need not beg the universe. You need not chase it. You only need to rest in the awareness of your desire fulfilled. Now you may ask, if I do nothing, how can things change? And I tell you, you are never doing nothing. Even when you are still, you are imagining. And what you imagine, you become. What you accept, you receive. So the question is not whether you are manifesting. The question is, what are you imagining when you think no one is watching? What are you accepting as real? If you can sit quietly and accept the reality of your desire, you are performing the greatest act of creation. For creation is finished. Every possibility already exists. You do not have to create the reality. You merely align yourself with it. You occupy it inwardly. You make it your dwelling place. You close your eyes and feel the truth of it so deeply that it becomes more real to you than what your senses report. Let us say you wish to be wealthy. Most will go into frantic action. They will worry about opportunities, about connections, about the market, about effort. But you, if you know the law, you will go within. You will sit silently and assume the feeling of being wealthy. You will hear friends congratulate you. You will feel the texture of a life of abundance. You will walk in that state internally until it becomes natural. And then, without strain, the outer world will bend to your assumption. You do not need to fight against what is. You only need to ignore it. The present facts are not the truth. They are simply echoes of past assumptions. The law of assumption is not interested in the facts. It is only interested in your inner state. Relax. Let go. You are not bound by appearances unless you choose to be. You are free the moment you believe you are. When I say relax, I do not mean to become indifferent. I mean to become confident. You do not need to be concerned with how it will come to pass. That is the universe's concern, not yours. Your only task is to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. And the more you relax, the more you trust, the more swiftly the universe will rearrange itself to deliver that which belongs to you by right of consciousness. The one who is anxious is doubting. The one who is striving is unsure. But the one who knows can rest. Imagine a pregnant woman. She does not strain to grow the child. She does not force it into being. She knows it is there. She knows it will come, and so she lives her days in quiet confidence. That is the way of true manifestation. Imagination is the womb of the universe. Whatever you impregnate it with, it will bear. But if you plant a seed and then dig it up every day to check if it has grown, you are operating in fear. Relaxation is the evidence of faith. When you truly believe it is done, you stop questioning. You stop looking. You rest. And yet, some will say, but nothing has changed. And I say everything has changed. Because you have changed. And the world cannot help but reflect that change.
Do not concern yourself with the time lag. It is only the echo catching up to your vibration. If you persist in the feeling, in the assumption, in the knowing, it must come. It is law, and the law does not fail. Remember this, everything comes from within. There is no one to change but self. If you would change your world, you must first change your concept of self. But how do you change it? Not by force, but by assumption. If you desire to be loved, assume you are already adored. If you desire to be successful, assume the feeling of triumph. Relax into that feeling. Let it soak into your bones, and then walk as though it were already true. You are not becoming anything, you are awakening to what already is. The state exists, the wealth exists, the love exists, the health exists, but you cannot receive it if you are tense, worried, striving. You must become still enough to hear it. You must become soft enough to receive it. The hand clenched in effort cannot hold the gift. Only the open palm of trust can. People believe they must earn their desires, but your desires are not rewards. They are revelations. They are signs of what is already yours. The moment you desire a thing, it exists. Your job is to claim it. And how do you claim it? By feeling it, by imagining it, by relaxing into it so completely that you forget it was ever a desire. It becomes your natural state. That is what I mean when I say relax and let the universe manifest anything for you. The universe is not something apart from you. It is your deeper self. It is the infinite intelligence that moves through you. When you rest in faith, you open the gates. When you rest in the assumption of the wish fulfilled, you invite all of heaven to flood your life. But I must warn you, this path is not for the impatient. It is not for the frantic. It is for the one who dares to believe in the invisible, the one who chooses inner stillness over outer noise, the one who walks by faith, not by sight. That is the one who receives. Let others race and chase. Let others fight and fear. But you be still. Close your eyes and assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let the senses fall away. Let the noise of the world dim. In that stillness imagine. In that silence feel. In that peace receive. The universe is not a machine. It is a mirror. It does not respond to effort. It responds to identity. Who you are being in your imagination is what determines what you experience in your world. If you assume lack, you will see lack. If you assume abundance, abundance will flow. But to assume, you must relax. You must withdraw attention from what is and give it to what will be. And so I invite you to do the most powerful thing you can do. Nothing. That is, do nothing from a state of fear. Do nothing from a state of striving. Do only what flows naturally from your assumption. Rest in the end. Live in the end. Let the end live in you. If you truly knew that it was done, how would you feel? How would you walk? How would you speak? Be that now. Don't wait for the manifestation to give you permission to feel it. Feel it first, and the manifestation must follow. This is the law. The inner state creates the outer fact, and your inner state is entirely your domain. So breathe deeply. Relax your mind. Drop the story of how hard it's been. Drop the belief that it's complicated. It is not complicated. It is simple. Assume the state. Dwell in it. Let the outer world do what it must. If you persist inwardly, all will bend to your vision. The universe knows the way. You do not have to chart the path. You only need to claim the destination. The bridge of incidents will form. The people will appear. The circumstances will align. And you will be astonished by the elegance of it all. But first, you must stop trying. You must stop pushing. You must stop doubting. You must learn the sacred art of relaxation, the holy power of faith. The world has taught you to strive. I am teaching you to surrender. The world has taught you to work. I am showing you how to rest in assumption. This is not laziness. This is wisdom. It takes great strength to be still in the face of appearances, great courage to choose belief over facts, great boldness to live from the invisible. But that is the path of the master. That is the way of the manifester. So let the world say what it will. Let the facts do what they must. You have seen the truth. You have felt the end. You have rested in the promise. Now walk in that peace. Walk in that power. And let the universe reveal to you the wonders prepared for those who believe. Everything is already yours. And all you must do to receive it is relax. There is an ease that comes to those who truly know. It is not the ease of passivity, but the ease of alignment. The one who knows that their imagination is the only creative force in the universe need not worry. They need not look for signs. They become the sign. Their very state of being radiates the assumption of the wish fulfilled. And the universe cannot help but reflect it. It is not arrogance. It is certainty. The certainty that comes from knowing that the power that creates worlds lives in you, moves through you, and responds to your every inner word. You do not manifest with your hands. You manifest with your mind. The outer world is a canvas, and your imagination is the brush. But if your hand is trembling from anxiety, the image will be chaotic. When you relax, when your mind is calm, when your heart is steady, the picture becomes clear. The vibration becomes pure. And pure vibrations draw precise results. You cannot fake this. You cannot pretend to be at peace while clinging to worry. You must become peace. You must rest in the knowing that it is done, even when all appearances scream otherwise. This is the great test, not to fight what is, but to ignore it completely, and live from the state of what is becoming. To say with full conviction, this is not who I am. I have already moved. I am already there. And to act accordingly. What does it mean to act accordingly? Not frantic effort. Not hustling to make it happen. No, the action that flows from assumption is effortless, joyful, inevitable. It is the kind of movement that arises naturally, like water following a stream. You are not pushing the water. You are letting gravity do the work. And the gravity of assumption is irresistible. It draws all things to itself with quiet power. Your role is to stay in the state, to feel it again and again, to return to it when the world distracts you. When doubts whisper and fears knock at your door, return to the state. Do not entertain the doubt. Do not argue with the fear. Simply return. Close your eyes and feel the end. Feel it as if it were more real than the chair beneath you, the room around you. Saturate yourself with the feeling of fulfillment, until the world outside becomes irrelevant. This is not about ignoring responsibilities. It is about fulfilling them from a higher place. It is about moving through the world as one who already is, not one who is trying to become. There is a difference, and it is vast. One is striving. The other is knowing. One is desperate. The other is assured. And that assurance is what relaxes the body, calms the mind, aligns the heart. The more you practice this stillness, the more magnetic you become. You will find people drawn to you, opportunities unfolding effortlessly, coincidences stacking in your favor. But they are not coincidences. They are reflections, shadows of your inner light, signs of your dominion over the unseen. You will no longer wonder if it works. You will know it works because you are it working. Then you will stop chasing altogether. You will stop needing things to prove to you that you are powerful. You will walk quietly, calmly through your days, with a smile that no one can explain, because you will have touched the secret. You will have felt the truth, that your imagination is God, that your inner world is law, that the only thing required of you is to relax and allow the seed to grow. Yet the mind will still try to pull you out. It will say, what if it doesn't work this time? It will scream, look at what's happening. But you must become deaf to that voice. You must say, I know who I am. And you must say it not with your lips, but with your feeling, with your posture, with the way you breathe, with the way you choose not to react. Every reaction is a seed. Every assumption is a cause. If you react with fear, you plant more of what you do not want. If you relax into confidence, you plant the tree of your desire. And that tree will grow not by watching it, not by worrying about it, but by trusting the process. Look at nature. The flower does not strain to bloom. The sun does not beg to rise. The river does not argue with the rock. It flows. It yields. And in that yielding, it carves through mountains. You too can carve through any obstacle, not by force but by presence, by remaining so deeply in the end, that the obstacle dissolves in your knowing. There will come a day when you will look back and laugh at all the effort. You will see how hard you tried, how much you struggled, and how unnecessary it was. You will see that all you ever needed to do was rest in the end. The moment you assumed it and believed it, the wheels began to turn. All the rest was just noise. You are not here to earn your worth. You are here to remember it. You are not here to make things happen. You are here to allow them to unfold. Manifestation is not a job. It is a dance. And the more relaxed you are, the more graceful you become. The more you let go of control, the more beauty enters your life. Because beauty flows where tension does not exist. Grace enters where fear has left. So begin to trust your inner world more than your outer world. Begin to trust the silence more than the sound. Begin to trust the unseen more than the visible. Because what you see is only the echo. The cause lives in you. And the cause is always now. Not someday. Not maybe. Not if. Now. Do not wait for the money to feel secure. Feel secure and the money must come. Do not wait for the love to feel chosen. Feel chosen, and love will appear. Do not wait for the healing to feel whole. Feel whole and your body will obey. You are not responding to life. Life is responding to you. But you must relax. You must give up the need to prove it, the urge to control it, the obsession to monitor it. You must enter the Sabbath, that holy stillness where desire and fulfillment are one, where the seed has been planted, and you no longer disturb the soil. You water it with faith. You shine upon it with assumption, and you let time do what it must. Even time is your servant. It bows to your belief. It bends around your assumption. If you assume that it will take years, it will. If you assume that it is already done, it is. There is no power outside of consciousness. And the moment you truly know this, your whole being softens. Your breath deepens. Your heart opens. You become receptive. And in that receptivity you become a channel for miracles. They are not miracles to the one who knows the law. They are simply natural effects of natural causes. But to the world they are astonishing. They will ask you, how did you do it? And you will smile. Because how does one explain the simplicity of faith to a world addicted to effort? How does one describe the power of stillness to a mind that worships struggle? You will not need to explain. Your life will speak. Your energy will transmit. Your presence will transform. And all of it began the moment you chose to relax. The moment you said it is done and believed it with your entire being. The moment you stopped reaching and started remembering. The moment you became who you truly are. And so the more you practice the stillness, the more natural it becomes. At first the mind will resist. It will scream for action, demand proof, beg for signs. But you must not indulge it. You must stand firm in the invisible. This is the discipline, not of doing but of being. To stay loyal to the unseen reality, even when the five senses report contradiction. That is the essence of faith. And faith is the only currency in the realm of creation. You will begin to see that everything around you is merely the echo of who you were being days ago, weeks ago. The manifestation is never immediate, because the world must reorganize itself according to your assumption. But rest assured, it is always in motion. Even when it seems nothing is happening, the law is at work. The bridge of incidents is unfolding in ways you cannot yet perceive. And your only role is to not disturb the process with doubt. Keep planting, keep assuming, keep feeling, and most of all, keep relaxing. The more relaxed you are, the more receptive you become. Receptivity is the forgotten art in a world obsessed with productivity. Yet nothing can flow into a clenched hand. Nothing can bloom in soil that is constantly being dug up. Receptivity means you have made room. You have cleared the space for the new by releasing the old beliefs, old doubts, old ways of being. And in their place you have allowed stillness to reign. That stillness is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is pregnant with potential. When you walk through life with the awareness that it is already done, the universe bends to your command without you ever needing to raise your voice. You speak inwardly with assurance, not desperation. You visualize not to force an outcome but to enjoy it, to savor it, to familiarize your senses with what you already possess in imagination. The outer world becomes secondary, almost unimportant.
because you are no longer reacting to it. You are creating from a place far deeper than the visible. Even your breath changes when you understand this. It becomes deeper, smoother. You find yourself walking slower, not because you are lazy, but because you are no longer in a hurry. You have exited the frantic chase and entered the divine current. The current that carries you exactly where you are meant to be, not through struggle but through harmony. And in that harmony, life becomes effortless. The right people arrive. The right moments unfold. Synchronicity becomes your language. People will marvel at your life. They will ask what you're doing differently. They will wonder how things just seem to work out for you. And they will not believe you when you tell them, I relax, I feel, I assume, I trust. Because that is all you are doing. You are relaxing into your power instead of resisting it. You are cooperating with the universe instead of competing with it. You are flowing with the law instead of fighting against appearances. And that inner shift is everything. Eventually, your identity transforms. You stop seeing yourself as the one who wants, and you become the one who has. You no longer speak as a beggar but as a creator. Your inner conversations reflect your new self-image. And those inner conversations are what shape your life. You may say nothing out loud, but the universe always hears your assumptions. It always responds to who you are being. So the question becomes, who are you being now? Not what are you doing? Not what are you saying? Who are you being? Inwardly, quietly, when no one is watching. Are you being the one who already is? Or the one who is still waiting? Your world will answer that question for you, because it cannot help but do so. It is law. Yet the law is kind. It does not judge. It does not punish. It simply reflects. It says yes to whatever you most consistently assume. If you assume struggle, it gives you more struggle. If you assume joy, it gives you more struggle. If you assume joy, it gives you more joy. And this law operates with or without your awareness. But when you become aware of it, and align yourself with it, everything changes. You realize that the only work you ever needed to do was inner work. That the only effort worth making was to change your inner conversation. That all outer actions are the shadows of the inner man. The real cause of change is always within. And so you return, again and again, to that place of stillness. You withdraw attention from the world and place it where it belongs, in imagination. You no longer worry about what others think. You no longer ask for opinions or seek validation. You know, and in knowing you become unshakable, because reality is now an inside-out process. You start with the feeling, and the facts follow. And if the facts delay, you do not panic. You simply persist, because you understand that the seed has been planted, and the harvest is inevitable. This inner stillness becomes your sanctuary, your secret place, the sacred space where all things are born. You find yourself longing for it, not because you want to escape the world but because you want to shape it. And you know you can only shape it from within. So you go there often, you imagine often, you rest often. And from that rest, a new world begins to emerge. A world that mirrors your calm, your confidence, your joy. No longer do you need to make things happen. You let them happen. You allow the right ideas to come to you. You allow the right connections to flow. You allow the body to heal. You allow money to arrive. Because you are no longer in resistance. You have ceased the inner argument. And in its place you have planted the word yes. Yes, I am. Yes, I have. Yes, it is done. This yes becomes your prayer. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is quiet and certain. It carries the weight of knowing. And that knowing is enough. You do not need evidence. You do not need confirmation. You carry the end result in your heart as though it were a memory. You revisit it often, not because you doubt it, but because it brings you peace. And then life begins to surprise you. Doors open where there were none. Solutions arise without effort. You find yourself in the right place at the right time more often than not. And you realize it's not luck, it's alignment. You are finally in harmony with the frequency of your desire. And that frequency is peace. That frequency is rest. That frequency is trust. So I leave you with this. The greatest secret is not in striving, but in surrender. Not in doing more, but in believing more. Relax. Not because you are giving up, but because you know. Relax.
because the power that breathes the stars lives in you, and it does not need your worry, only your faith. The universe is not withholding anything from you. It is waiting for you to assume it is already yours. When you rest in the end, when you feel the fulfillment now, the world must reorganize itself to reflect your state. This is the law. This is the promise. And it has never failed anyone who dared to believe. So be still, be bold, and above all, be the one who knows it is done.
My dear friends, I want to share with you a truth so profound, yet so simple, that it has escaped the notice of the busy and striving world. And that truth is this: relaxation is the key to the fulfillment of every desire. It is not through struggle or effort or worry that you manifest what you seek. It is through the serene assumption of the wish fulfilled. It is in stillness, not striving, that the creative power of your own wonderful human imagination goes to work. You do not need to fight for what is already yours. You only need to assume, in quiet confidence, that it is already done. And in that calm knowing, in that relaxed assurance, the bridge of incidents begins to form. It is not your work to create the bridge. Your work is to rest in the end. And this rest, this inner Sabbath, is the state of relaxed faith that all things are working together for your good. Now I ask you, what is your desire? Is it love? Is it wealth? Is it recognition? Is it health? Whatever it is, I say to you, it is already yours, if you will dare to assume that it is so. But this assumption must not be tense. You must not clutch at your desire as though it were outside of you, distant and difficult to grasp. No, my friends, you must relax into it as though you were slipping into a warm bath. You must feel its reality inwardly and allow the feeling to possess you. There is a secret place within you, the silence of your own being, where all creation begins. In that silence you are one with the infinite, and in that stillness the seed of your assumption is planted. But if you are restless, anxious, or striving, the soil of the mind is agitated, and the seed cannot take root. Only in the calm, relaxed acceptance of your desire as a present fact can it grow into form. You have been told, "Be still and know that I am God." What does this mean? It means that in stillness, in relaxation, you come into alignment with your creative power. You no longer seek outwardly, for you have found the treasure within. You are no longer tossed about by appearances, for you know the truth of your inner state. You are no longer subject to the opinions of the world, for you have assumed your wish fulfilled, and in that assumption you rest. Now do not confuse relaxation with passivity. It is not laziness. It is alert stillness. It is receptive confidence. It is not the sleep of forgetfulness, but the sleep of fulfilled desire. You close your eyes not to escape, but to see more clearly. You turn inward, not to avoid life, but to create it deliberately. And from this sacred place within, you imagine not what could be, but what already is. Imagine now that your desire is fulfilled. How do you feel? What is your inner state? Let that feeling rise in you. Do not force it. Simply allow it. Let it gently saturate your mind and body like a fragrance. Rest in that mood. Clothe yourself in the atmosphere of your wish fulfilled, and then let it go. Do not strain to hold the image. Simply trust that the imaginal act was planted in the fertile soil of your relaxed awareness. The world is a mirror, my friends. It reflects not what you say, but what you feel. Not what you want, but what you assume. If you go about your day tense, anxious, or desperate for results, then you are declaring, "I do not have what I desire," and the mirror will echo back that state. But if you walk in ease, with a light heart and a quiet confidence, then you are saying, "It is already mine," and the world will conform to that assumption. We must learn to trust the invisible more than the visible, for the visible is only the outpicturing of an earlier state. If you want to change the world around you, you must first change the state within you, and the state that brings forth miracles is one of relaxed certainty. You do not need to convince the universe. You only need to convince yourself, and even that, not with argument or logic, but with feeling. Do you remember a time when something you desired came to you effortlessly? Perhaps you were not even thinking about it. You were relaxed,
and in that state of non-resistance it flowed to you. That is the secret. Not to strive, but to dwell in the end with ease. Not to beg, but to accept. Not to chase, but to receive. I once knew a man who desired success in his business. He worked day and night, he read every book, attended every seminar, and pushed himself to exhaustion. And yet the results eluded him. He came to me in frustration and said, "What am I doing wrong?" I told him, "You are trying too hard. You are pushing against the current. Relax, assume the feeling of success, and then rest in that feeling." At first he resisted. He said, "But won't I lose momentum? Won't I fall behind?" I said, "What you call momentum is tension, and tension repels. What you need is flow, and flow begins in relaxation." So he agreed to try. Each night, he would lie in bed and imagine that his business was thriving. He did not force the images. He simply felt the ease of it, the joy of success, and let that feeling lull him to sleep. Within weeks, opportunities began to appear. Connections were made, clients multiplied, and it all came not through struggle, but through alignment. Your subconscious mind does not respond to pressure, it responds to impression, and impression is made most deeply when the mind is relaxed. That is why the moments before sleep are so powerful. In that drowsy state, the walls of resistance fall, and your assumptions are received by the subconscious without opposition. That is the time to impress upon it your desire, not as a future hope, but as a present fact. You are the operant power, and you operate through assumption. But assumption must not be mechanical. It must be felt, and feeling can only be genuine when you are relaxed. If you pretend to believe, but inwardly doubt, the doubt will be impressed. But if you rest in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even for a few moments, it is enough to set the creative process in motion. Do not underestimate the power of ease, for it is ease that draws things to you. When you are tense, you create separation. When you are relaxed, you become magnetic. Think of the rose. It does not strain to attract the bee. It simply blooms in quiet beauty, and the bee comes. So too with your desires. Bloom in the feeling of fulfillment, and all things necessary for its realization will come to you. You may say, "But how can I relax when my outer world is so chaotic?" And I say to you, the outer world is but a shadow. It has no power of its own. It only reflects your inner state. Therefore, if you would change it, you must turn away from it, not in denial, but in transcendence. You must enter the silence, and in that sacred stillness, assume a new reality. And in time the outer will match the inner. I do not speak of fantasy. I speak of law. The law of consciousness is always at work. You are always assuming something. You are always impressing the subconscious with some state. The question is not, am I manifesting, but what am I manifesting? And the answer is found in your feeling. What you feel habitually you become. Therefore, if you desire a new life, begin now, not by effort but by rest. Enter the imaginal scene of your fulfilled desire. Feel its reality. Let it be vivid and alive within you. And then relax. Trust. Know that it is done. Walk through the world with quiet joy, knowing that your assumption is creating your reality. And when doubt arises as it may, do not fight it. Simply return to the feeling. Return to the end. Return to rest. Some of you have been striving for years. You have tried technique after technique, and still you wonder why nothing changes. I tell you it is because you have not yet learned to relax. You are planting seeds, but digging them up each day with worry. You are affirming your desire, but feeling the lack of it. You must reverse this. You must feel the fulfillment, and then release all concern. You must trust the unseen more than the seen, and you must do it in peace. If I could leave you with one instruction, it would be this. Relax into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Make this your daily practice. Morning and night, enter the state of fulfilled desire, not with tension but with joy, not with effort but with ease. Feel it as though it were already true, and then live from that state, quietly, confidently, lovingly. You will find that the world begins to change, not by your manipulation, but by divine orchestration. Events will align, people will appear, opportunities will unfold, and you will look back and wonder how it all happened so effortlessly. And you will remember this, it happened because you relaxed. You let go of the need to make it happen,
and you allowed it to happen. This is the secret I give to you, not hidden in complexity, but in simplicity, not buried in effort, but revealed in stillness. You are the creator, my friends, but you create not through force, but through assumption, and assumption blossoms best in relaxation. So tonight, as you lie down to sleep, do not replay the worries of the day. Instead, close your eyes and enter the scene of your fulfilled desire. Hear the words that would be spoken if it were true. Feel the embrace, the joy, the celebration. Let that feeling cradle you into slumber, and know that in that moment you have sown the seed, and in due season the harvest will come. Relax and you will manifest anything you desire, for the power is within you, waiting only for your ease, your trust, your quiet knowing. Be still, and know that you are the creator. So I say to you again, practice this art daily, not as a duty, but as a delight. The more you relax into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the more natural it becomes, and as it becomes natural, it becomes real. The subconscious is no respecter of effort. It responds to naturalness. That which feels natural to you will manifest, because it has already been accepted as true. That is why a relaxed imagination is infinitely more powerful than a tense will. Consider how you breathe when you are at peace. There is no strain. There is no grasping for air. It flows in and out, rhythmically, effortlessly. That is the same rhythm with which your desires must be received. Inhale the feeling of fulfillment. Exhale the worry. Inhale the certainty. Exhale the doubt. Your breath can become your anchor into the unseen. As you relax into each moment, you are tuning your frequency to that which you seek. Everything you desire exists now, in a dimension just beyond your physical senses. It is not far from you. It is not separate from you. It is within you, waiting for you to consent to its reality. But consent does not come through force. It comes through surrender. And surrender is not giving up. Surrender is giving in to the truth that what you want is already yours in imagination. The paradox of manifestation is that you must desire with intensity, yet hold that desire with gentleness. You must want it, but you must not need it. You must choose it, but not chase it. You must dwell in it, but not obsess over it. And this fine balance is achieved only through the art of relaxed imagination. The one who assumes quietly is the one who receives loudly. The one who dwells silently in the feeling is the one who soon walks loudly in the results. You must understand, the moment you imagine your desire as fulfilled and truly feel it, it is done. The rest is not your concern. Do not ask how it will happen. The how is not your domain. The bridge of incidents will unfold in ways you could never predict. Your task is to remain faithful to the feeling. Your task is to stay in the state. And the easiest way to stay in the state is to live a relaxed life, a life of trust, a life of knowing that unseen things are more real than the seen, because the seen is born from the unseen. Let me tell you something that will liberate you. The thing you want does not exist out there. It exists in you. It is a pattern of consciousness, waiting to be activated. The moment you imagine it with belief, it begins to express itself through you. It is not that the world brings it to you, it is that your world molds itself around your state of being. And when you are relaxed, you are letting the clay take shape around your assumption. Do you not remember in the scriptures, it is said that God finished all his works and then rested? That rest was not idleness. It was faith in the completion of what was already done. You too must finish your inner work and then rest. Not the rest of doubt, but the rest of conviction. When you feel that inner peace, that quiet assurance, you have touched the creative state. And from that point forward, it is done unto you as you have believed.
Too many of us confuse effort with progress. We are conditioned to struggle. We are told that if we are not constantly pushing, we are losing ground. But I tell you, true manifestation is not a matter of pushing. It is a matter of flowing. When you push, you are declaring that what you want is outside of you. When you flow, you are embodying that it is already within you. That inner shift is the whole game. That shift happens best in rest. Every time you assume something to be true and then rest in that assumption without doubt or contradiction, you are moving mountains. You may not see it immediately with your eyes, but the inner motion is already underway. People will be moved. Circumstances will change. Paths will clear. But you must not be like the man who plants a seed and then digs it up each morning to see if it is growing. Let the seed grow. Let it be. Your imagination is divine. It is God in action. And when you relax and let the imaginal act imprint upon your subconscious, you are doing the very thing the ancients called creation. This is the great mystery of the ages, that man is one with the Creator, and he creates through assumption. And assumption must feel natural to be effective. And what feels more natural than a relaxed state? If I could get this one idea into your heart, it would transform your life. You do not have to try so hard. Your trying is often the very thing delaying the manifestation. It is born from the belief that you are separate from your desire, but you are not. You are one with it, and your union with it is made visible through feeling. And feeling flows best through relaxation. So if you find yourself doubting, tense, or worried, do not try to fight the doubt. That only strengthens it. Instead, pause, breathe, return to your center. Ask yourself, what would I feel right now if it were already done? Then go there, gently. Rest there quietly. That state is your home. That state is your power. That state is the magnet through which all things are drawn. When you are relaxed, you are not distracted. You are present. And presence is power. In the present moment, there is no fear, no lack, no future to worry about. There is only the now, and the now is the gateway to all manifestation. When you are truly relaxed, you are living as though your desire were already realized. You are embodying the end, and from that embodiment, the world reshapes itself. I speak from experience, not theory. I have seen people who spent years striving only to receive their heart's desire the moment they gave up the struggle and relaxed. I have seen health restored, wealth gained, relationships mended, not through endless effort, but through inner stillness, through the gentle act of assuming and relaxing. So I ask you to remember this always. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. And who you are is determined by your state. If your state is one of ease, of trust, of joyful expectation, then all that corresponds to that state must come. It is law, it is the law of assumption. It is the law of consciousness. You must make peace with the fact that manifestation is not a doing, it is a being. The doing follows the being. The actions you take will naturally emerge from the state you occupy. But first, be still. First, enter the feeling. First, assume and relax. Then act, not out of fear or haste, but out of inner knowing. The relaxed state is not idle, it is fertile. Now even as you hear my words, perhaps you are beginning to feel a shift, a letting go, a softening. That is the beginning of alignment. Let it deepen. Let your breath slow. Let your shoulders drop, and with each exhale, let go of the belief that you must earn or fight for what is already yours in imagination. Let me repeat, it is already yours. There is nothing to get. There is only something to allow. And allowing is always done in a relaxed state. You cannot allow while resisting. You cannot receive while bracing. You must open. You must surrender. Not in defeat, but in assurance. What would your life look like if you trusted this completely? What kind of ease would you move with? If you knew beyond doubt that all you desired was flowing to you. Can you feel the relief in that? That very relief is your access point. That is the state to dwell in. You do not need to maintain this state 24 hours a day. Even a few moments of relaxed assumption, fully felt, can shift the tide of your life. You will return to doubt at times, and that is okay. When you do not scold yourself. Simply return. Return to the state. Return to the scene. Return to the feeling. It is always available. You carry the creative power within you always. Let the world chase and strive and hustle. Let them be frantic. Let them believe that only through effort comes reward. But you, my friend, you know a deeper secret. You know that the universe responds to your inner state. You know that what you dwell upon with feeling becomes your reality. And you know that the highest form of alignment is relaxation. So go now into the world. Not to get, but to express. Not to struggle, but to allow. Be the one who assumes with joy and walks with calm certainty. Be the one who rests, and therefore receives. Be the one who lives in the end. Now, as you continue to dwell in this state of inner poise, you will find yourself becoming increasingly sensitive to the subtle shifts of your imagination. You will notice how your body responds to the tones of inner conviction. You'll begin to feel when something is real to you, not because you see it in the outer world, but because you sense it as done within. This inner sensitivity, cultivated through relaxation, is the true compass of manifestation. You will no longer need to ask, when will it come? You will know it is coming because you feel it already as yours, and that is enough. You will also notice in this new state of ease that your desires begin to change, not in content necessarily, but in character. They become lighter, freer, more aligned with joy and less with compensation. You are no longer trying to fix something or escape something. You're no longer imagining from a place of lack or pain, but from fullness. The more you rest in the assumption of fulfillment, the less desperate your desires become, and the more magnetic they are. You are no longer creating from need, you are creating from being. And being is the highest state. There is a stillness that comes over the mind when it truly believes. It does not rush, it does not calculate, it does not panic. It simply knows. You must seek to enter that stillness, to make it your dwelling place. That stillness is not empty. It is full. It is alive. It is the womb of creation. And in that sacred silence, all things are born. But to reach that place, you must let go of the noise. You must turn away from the outer din and enter the inner sanctuary where imagination creates reality. Now hear me. You do not have to earn your manifestation. This is perhaps the most radical idea of all. We have been conditioned to believe that only what is earned has value, that we must prove ourselves worthy. But the law of assumption does not operate on merit. It operates on feeling. It gives according to your belief, not your effort. The moment you believe you are already the person who has what you desire, the law begins to move. It does not wait for a performance. It waits only for a shift in state. This is why the relaxed mind is so potent. It is not trying to prove anything. It is not bargaining with the universe. It is not pleading. It is assuming, quietly, naturally, gently. The relaxed mind says, I am. And the universe echoes back, you are. That is the secret to all transformation, a change in self-conception. And self-conception is best changed not through struggle, but through soft repetition in stillness. Think of the potter and the clay. If the clay is too dry, it cracks. If the potter rushes, the form collapses. It is through gentle, deliberate shaping that the vision becomes form. Your mind is that clay. Your assumptions are the potter's hands. And your relaxed state is the moisture that keeps the clay supple and ready to mold. Tension dries it out. Worry breaks it apart. But ease makes it malleable. And in that softness you shape your world. The longer you dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, the more the world begins to organize itself to mirror that state. And this dwelling must become your home. Not a place you visit occasionally, but where you live mentally. The outer world may still appear unchanged, but that is only because the picture is still developing. Do not snatch the film from the camera too soon. Do not run from the process. Wait in faith. Wait in peace. Wait in inner knowing. Your relaxed assumption is not in vain. It is the seed of the miracle. I know some of you still feel doubt. That is understandable. We have been taught all our lives that effort equals success. But I am telling you now, in this work, the work of manifestation, effort is often the enemy. It introduces friction. It signals unbelief. The more you try to force it, the more you declare, by your trying, that you do not believe it is already so. But when you relax, truly relax, you enter into the Sabbath. And in the Sabbath, creation is finished. This is not philosophy. This is not theory. This is law. And it is a law that has been proven through time, by those willing to trust it. The ancients knew this. They practiced it under different names and rituals. But the core was always the same. Quiet the mind, feel the desired state, and surrender to it. That is the essence of all effective prayer. Not petition, but assumption with rest. And so, as you go about your daily life, practice catching yourself. Notice when you tense, when you rush, when you strive. Then pause, breathe, smile, even, and return not to worry, but to the end. Return to that calm center within, where your desire already exists. Ask yourself, how would I move through this moment, if I already had what I want? And then move that way, not with pretense, but with ease, with grace, with stillness. You will find, as this becomes your habit,
that people respond to you differently. Opportunities appear where once there were none. Ideas drop into your mind fully formed. You begin to feel carried by life, instead of pushing against it. This is what it means to live by assumption, and not by appearances. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are creating it quietly, calmly, consciously. Let no one tell you that this is fantasy. Let no one mock the power of imagination. For the world you see was once imagined by someone. Every structure, every invention, every movement of human history began in a mind. And it was not the mind in frenzy that created. It was the mind in vision. The mind that relaxed into an idea and allowed it to grow. You are no different. You are a creative being, and your world is your canvas. The brush is your assumption. The paint is your feeling. And the canvas responds best to the calm, steady hand. So do not wait for permission. Do not wait for evidence. Begin now. Relax, imagine, assume, rest. These are not passive acts. They are the most powerful movements of consciousness. And when practiced daily, they will reshape your reality in ways so subtle, so profound. You will think it was magic. But it is not magic. It is law. It is principle. It is you, operating as you were meant to. Relaxed, receptive, radiant. And so I leave you with this undeniable truth. Relaxation is not weakness. It is mastery. It is the mark of one who knows the creative power within and no longer begs the world for crumbs of validation. The one who relaxes has assumed the throne. They are no longer at the mercy of circumstance, but are now the cause behind the curtain, the silent architect of their unfolding life. You do not need to hustle to be worthy. You do not need to strive to be seen. You only need to assume the state of the wish fulfilled and rest in it with unwavering faith. When you do this, you align with the rhythm of creation itself, effortless, elegant, inevitable. So the next time you are tempted to force, remember nothing forced lasts. But what is imagined with love, assumed with certainty, and held in quiet relaxation, that is eternal. That is divine. That is yours. Relax, and you will manifest anything you desire.